This is Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and WQAM.com for the world.
I am above the law.
Sports Radio 560 QAM presents the best of Neil Rogers.
Neil is still on vacation, so don't call in, okay?
Just lay back and enjoy it. The best of Neil is on 560 QAM.
Peekaboo street my ass. Does this tell you what's wrong with the world today? You know, those poor Canadians, man, those poor bastards lost their gold medal because this Gabriotti guy, this goofball, tested positive for pot. Now, pot stays in your system for like a month, 3 to 4 weeks, okay? Now, I think the whole thing is ridiculous at best because certainly marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug by any stretch of the imagination. No way, Jose. Unless the contest is an eating contest, then you got an edge.
Or a watching TV contest.
Right. But other than that, I mean, if anything, it would be a performance dulling. So, you know, maybe 3-4 weeks, this guy's so stupid that he smoked some weed back in Canada, which, of course, is very commonplace, to say the worst. Extremely commonplace, like out on Yonge Street and Church Street all over Toronto, and I'm sure in Vancouver and even in Moose Jaw, or wherever this guy is from. He's probably from Whistler, BC, or someplace like that. Oh, yeah. He's from Kitchener and the Medicine Hat and Whistler, eh? What a silly bunch of people. I mean, love Toronto, but what a silly bunch of people. And at any rate, so he's so stupid. These guys practice their whole lives to do this silly crap and go over there because it's such an honor and such a big deal. And they're smoking dope like 3 or 4 weeks before they go over there. So on the one hand, naturally, it's stupid. And just like now, there's an article in the Sun Sentinel which hasn't learned about that yet, I guess because they're sleeping. But pot testing gained support for the NBA, and some of the NBA biggest stars favor mandatory testing of players for marijuana, breaking ranks with the Players Union. And it goes on about Chris Webber and Isaiah Ryder and this one and that one and Peekaboo Street and et cetera and so on.
Joe says that the guy says that he got it from secondhand smoke at his going-away party.
Secondhand smoke. Yeah, sounds like Bill Clinton now. Kind of like a secondhand blowjob. That's going to be the new excuse after today, after the grand jury testimony. It was a secondhand job. Oh, sorry. Can't say that. I guarantee it was more than a secondhand job. Well, at any rate.
I wanted it.
Hey, dude. Jennifer Capriati here. And when I'm not slapping balls on the court, I'm getting stoned off my ass. And I get my best hits off the Jennifer Capriati tennis ball can bong.
That's right, it's the Jennifer Capriati tennis ball can bong. Cops will never suspect this innocent-looking can. Just empty the balls, screw on the bowl, fill it with water, and you're set to destroy brain cells. The Jennifer Capriati way.
Oh, this is so smooth.
It's the bong that thinks it's a tennis ball can. The tennis ball can that thinks it's a bong. Proceeds benefit the Jennifer Capriati Legal Defense Fund. Normal approved.
Okay, so that big, goofy David Robinson, All-Star Center of the San Antonio Spurs, says we should be tested. We should all be tested. It's a no-brainer, meaning marijuana. And I say to you, David Robinson, you're an asshole, okay, and a goody two-shoes and a phony. Why is it anybody's business? Unless it affects somebody's performance, why is it anybody's business in any profession? All this mandatory drug testing and all these different jobs now, it's nothing more than a goddamn witch hunt, and it's nobody's business if you're smoking weed. Well, it's illegal. So are a lot of positions in sex, too, okay? But that doesn't mean that it's anybody's goddamn business. Oh, and speaking of positions in sex, I'm at Mommy's house. I'm going to have to start taking notes. Every week she comes up with another classic. Now she's decided that probably the president must be gay. And I said, why would you say that with all these women that he's doing? Oh, but he likes oral sex.
Forget notes. You need to roll tape.
Oh, my God. Talk about out of touch with reality. Talk about from a very distant generation of the long, long past. And I try to explain to her, Ma, all men like oral sex. And of course, she just went on to her next topic.
Well, that explains why your dad's so surly.
You really want to get me started, don't you? Even Monica Lewinsky wouldn't do that, okay? For love or money. Trust me when I tell you. The thought is so grotesque. The thought of that is so puke-inducing that I can't even begin to tell you. Oh, my God. So no wonder Ma's got an aversion to it. I think he did make a good point, though, but in reverse. But at any rate, yeah, the president's a faggot, okay, because he likes oral sex. So that goes back to the survey we took last week, which most of you lied about, by the way. But there you are. Ma thinks the president's a fag because he likes oral is moral. But at any rate, getting back to this weed business, it's nobody's goddamn business. And unless it affects your performance at the orifice, on the playing field, if it's some stupid goddamn sport, in the snowboard, whatever the hell this guy is riding over there, this poor Canadian bastard, this Gabriotti, whatever this guy's name is, he ain't no Peekaboo Street, I'll tell you that. They got a curler, a woman curler from Canada. Her name is Sandra Schmerler. I swear to God. We laughed so hard last night, I thought I was going to pee in my pants when I heard on the CBC they were talking about Sandra Schmerler, the woman curler, and she's from Whistler, BC, or some goddamn place. Oh, my God. Oh. And you people are taking this seriously? Any of you? Oh, man. Sandra Schmerler, the lady curler from Whistler, BC. But she ain't got nothing on Peekaboo Street, I'll tell you that. Who is almost as good as I.B. Hip, or whatever that coon's name was, that basketball player from Maryland, or Virginia, whoever the hell he played for. Nobody cares about whether jocks or anybody else is smoking weed, because all this audience is. And they're sick and tired of being drug tested like this is some kind of like a police state. Oh, it is? Sorry. Been telling you that for years. It's a goddamn police state. They're going to give you a drug test because you're going to work in Walgreens or something? They're going to give you a drug test to be sitting behind a desk somewhere because you're the executive vice president of a bank that's got like 75 customers in Poughkeepsie, New York. They're going to give you a drug test? Based on what? That's like the frickin' word police we got up there at the FCC, that the Congress gets together, Jesse Helms and all these other Nazis, and they get together with these old prudish farts, and they just make up a list. Well, you can't say this. Yeah, based on what? Well, we said so. Oh, that's great. That sounds like the American way to me. That sounds exactly like what the Founding Fathers had in mind. Founding Fathers, who the hell were they, and what's their score in the Olympics?
They grew hemp, the Founding Fathers.
Yeah, they were smoking the rope is what they were doing, and they were also doing the slaves, the slave women. But we don't want to talk about that because that'd be bad. Let's go secondhand. We've heard of the dangers of secondhand cigarette smoke. Now we got the dangers of secondhand marijuana smoke. Going to get you disqualified and lose your medal, baby. And they'll stick your ass out there on Peekaboo Street. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
Okay, sir.
First thing, I think X-Ray Hip did play for Maryland. I'm pretty sure.
I think so, but who cares?
Yeah, who cares? About this drug testing thing.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line? You say it's okay that they smoke marijuana and they shouldn't.
That's why I draw the line. Marijuana is not it doesn't affect somebody's performance. It doesn't enhance their performance, and people aren't, like I just said a minute ago, aren't going to go around stealing money and robbing banks and 7-Elevens and gas stations to get money to support a marijuana habit. It's ridiculous.
So that's your reasoning for not testing it, because of why they won't. What
is your reason that you should test for marijuana?
Well, I'm not saying that they really should. I'm just saying that I don't think if they're going to test for one, they should test for all. I don't think they should draw a line.
How about if they test for nicotine to see if you're smoking cigarettes?
Cigarettes aren't illegal.
Well, what difference does it make whether it's legal or illegal? Like I said before, in the state of Florida, any sex other than missionary position, man and woman, is illegal, okay? So should we arrest everybody, or should we go into people's bedrooms and find out if anybody's doing it in the wrong position?
No, I don't agree with that.
So what difference does it make if we have a lot of archaic, stupid laws? Whose business is it? If it doesn't affect anything or change anything, what difference does it make?
Well, then it looks like the problem is actually with the law, not that they're testing for marijuana. I mean, I agree. I think that they should. I think that they should test for marijuana there, and I think that they should test for marijuana in the NBA.
Based on what?
Based on because I think that the jocks get away with as much crap as they possibly they get away with too much.
So in other words, it's only wait a minute, only jocks smoke marijuana. Is that what you're saying, sir?
But that's what we're talking about here is where the testing is done. You brought up that they're testing in the NBA.
They test in all. Look, you know as well as I do that if you go into apply for a job in a lot of companies in this country, not just sports, in any kind of endeavor, government job, they have random drug testing. You know that, I hope.
Right. Yes, I do.
And based on what? What is it their business if you're smoking pot?
I don't know. Maybe they're afraid of your job performance. Maybe I'm not really sure. I can't really tell you why they do it. I'm just saying that if they're going to test for one,
how is that going to affect your job performance?
Well, what you mean if you smoke marijuana the night before?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I'm not giving you an answer for why they do it. I said that.
No, but we're having a discussion. I'm not asking you to justify it, but how is the smoking weed going to affect your job performance? I'm
not saying it will. I don't think it will.
So what's the point?
Well, like I said, I think it's because that they're going to test for one. They're going to test for all. I don't think that if you say, okay, well, hey, it's okay for you to go ahead and smoke marijuana, but we're going to test you out for cocaine.
So in other words, you don't see a difference between hard drugs and marijuana. You don't see it. Okay, get a new phone, sir, and call me back. I'd be delighted to debate it with you, but your phone blows. This guy doesn't see a difference between cocaine, which is a highly addictive substance, which affects people's personality and behavior, and in many cases causes them to become dangerous. That is correct. Trust me when I tell you, I have known people who become totally changed, personality change, are untrustworthy. Those people, most of you don't want working for you if they're really addicted to cocaine, if they have a serious crack problem or any other kind of a coke problem or heroin.
No portion of this broadcast may be reproduced without the express written permission of WQAM Beasley Reed Acquisition Corp.
Goodbye, Chris Farley. You great big fatty, always acting like a great big fat dumb retard in every film you've ever made. Too bad for David Spade. His career could fade 'cause all he has left is that lame-o TV show. He won't be making buddy movies no more. And you wanted to be just like John Belushi and have John Candy's chin. You finally made it, but were not too careful what you wished. You gave us lots of laughter on Saturday night, but you were way too young to die, to commit Batman suicide. Goodbye, Chris Farley. What did you eat to blow up like a big balloon, eating like a fool? That would only bring you certain death. The farmers are upset, and all you left was some cable movies and a few pairs of your pants that will fill to make community pools. And you wanted to be just like John Belushi and have John Candy's chin. You finally made it, but were not too careful what you wish. Your casket could hold a piano that's 6 feet wide. Now you've reached the pizza in the sky. You got so fat you died.
Chris Farley, the night they had some broad on there, one of the tabloid shows last night. The night before he croaked, let's see, how much heroin? Heroin and coke and fish food and whatever else he was doing all together, and vodka on top of it, just to make sure.
You got to wash it down.
You got to wash it down with some good vodka. That's right. That's what Boris said. Bad enough. It wasn't bad enough that he was doing a heroin, but he was doing coke too. So he's dead, Chris Farley. There you go. But I mean, this guy comparing. I mean, oh yeah, they're getting away with enough as it is. Who cares about that? Why don't we get all upset if they're beating up their wife or their girlfriend? Why don't we get upset about that? How come nobody gave a crap that the Jimmy Johnson signed up Lawrence Phillips, who's nothing but a goddamn gangster? How come nobody cared about that? But we're concerned if he passes a drug test or not. That really concerns me, whether he's smoking marijuana, not whether he's going to be beating women up all over the place. What kind of mentality we be talking about in this country, man? We're talking about people that they can't sit down and look at this thing rationally because most of them are emotional cripples. Emotional cripples. And this crap about the NBA is going to do pot testing. David Robinson says, oh, yeah, we should all subject to it. It's a no-brainer. The NBA is a no-brainer, okay? It's for a bunch of illiterate freaks is what it is, David Robinson. You asshole. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Okay.
You sound pissed off.
Go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
Okay, well, anyway, on the secondhand smoke with the marijuana, I have a friend who basically could not smoke because of the government watching over him.
Yeah.
And he enjoys burning every couple of times. So when he went to get a mandatory, piss test, and he came back positive, he told his probation officer, he's like, oh, no, I was in a room with a bunch of people smoking.
Yeah.
And the probation officer gave him a bunch of, evidence.
I got a great bit for Boca Brian, by the way, to the tune of Secondhand Rose. Secondhand smoke. But anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, he says that the probation officer gave him a bunch of evidence about how much secondhand smoke you had to be exposed to for you to come back positive for even a minuscule amount. You'd had to be in a room that was fogged up for a couple of hours, constantly breathing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you smoke pot in the past, at any point, if you like to smoke that stuff, and you're in a room and they've been smoking it for 2 hours, you're going to tell me you're not going to take a hit or whatever? And I mean, snowboarders...
So let me ask you, what if you did? Well, no, wait a minute. Oh, I want to hear this about snowboarding. Let's hear this.
I mean, snowboarding in the Olympics, who is not going to think that these snowboarders are not pot addicts? Give me a break. All these guys are a bunch of...
Pot addicts.
Pot addicts, oh yeah.
I mean, they are the biggest burnouts. All the surfers I knew in high school...
Yeah, surfers and snowboarders, there you go. Boy, I love your logic, man. This is great.
I mean, it's true.
Just follow the bouncing dots. Here we go, from A to Z to T to FU. Okay, great job, pal. Excellent. That could have been the greatest call in history. Oh, man, those chronic potheads, man, those snowboarders. I wonder about Sandra Schmerler, the curler. I wonder what she's doing. She's probably got her hair up in curlers, that bitch. Oh, in Sweden, by the way, won a women's curling match against Canada. Oh, my God. The Canadians, 95% of all curlers in the world are Canadians, and they already lost one match. Between that and maybe losing this gold medal, they may never come out of hiding. They may start doing like the Eskimos and build igloos and go inside and never come out. Oot. Here's a mobile lady in Hollywood. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. This is the first time I'm calling you. However, I've listened to you for years, and I do admire many of the things that you say.
But,
however, I take issue a little bit this morning with the pot testing with regard to your employment. There are some situations where it is very dangerous to smoke pot, particularly if you like to drink beer at lunch or even have a drink at lunch and you mix it with the pot. There are things you can do that you normally wouldn't do.
Like what?
Well, for example, I know of a personal experience because I happen to be an insurance agent, and we have a very serious situation that occurred in one of our insured business operation where the man did just that at lunchtime, came back, and in a job that he had been working on for 10 years, stuck his hand in a mixing vat and cut it off.
All right. Excellent. Well, that'll teach him. I guess he won't be doing that again.
No, I guess he won't.
So what's the problem?
Well, the problem is that drug testing on the job is, in many cases, very important. And so if you smoke pot, you shouldn't be doing it while you're working. I mean, maybe if you're working in a job...
Well, wait a minute. You said you shouldn't be doing it while you're working, but if it stays in your system for up to a month, then how do you know when you're doing it?
Well,
suppose you smoke it recreationally on the weekend at home, not when you're on a job.
Well, I don't know very much about how long it stays in your system.
Well, I just got through telling you, up to a month.
Well,
what about beer testing after lunch?
Yeah, that's right. How about booze testing after lunch?
Let me tell you something. Those kind of situations...
How about a little breathalyzer test after lunch?
Well, I don't...
I mean, where do we stop this insanity is what I say.
No, actually, I really do believe that we have become insane with testing, except that in the case of drugs, it is a very important thing in some situations. I'm not saying that we should be testing everybody for everything because we're losing totally our rights in this country.
We don't have any rights in this country. We have a right to be oppressed by a fascist police state is what we have. We don't have any rights.
No,
this isn't a free country. It's a joke.
Hey, listen, we still have the right to talk to you about these things, which makes it a right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're limited as to what we can say.
Yeah, but you still got to watch your language or the word police are going to come down and take you away.
that's something else again. I don't agree with that either. I think if you want to say foul things, you can say them, and that shouldn't be oppressed by anybody, and whether it's on the radio or TV or wherever. But the point is that I don't know whether you agree to this completely, maybe impartially you'll agree, that there are certain situations where drug testing, whether it be marijuana or heroin or whatever, is an important factor.
I would say if you're working in a candy store, then they definitely should be able to do drug testing. You want somebody, or in any kind of a restaurant, they don't want you to eat the profits. Right, donut shop, that would be a good one. Have a great day, sweetheart. We have an open line in Dade, 567-0560 and pound 560, because God forbid if you smoked weed like 2 weekends ago and you had a beer for lunch today, we know that you are a danger to society. God forbid.
Pizza chef or delivery boys definitely test.
Yeah, that's right. Chinese food delivery guy, like Dom DeLuise, he would never, and he didn't even have to smoke weed. How do you like that? And he still had the munchies. He was a hungry boy. He was just a big, chubby, hungry guy, that's all. And he ate all $40 worth of Chinese food on the way back to the house.
Can you imagine if they tested radio management for alcohol after lunch?
Oh, yeah. If they went up there right now, oh, my God. How about brain testing for management? That sounds good to me. Of course, where there's no sense, there's no feeling. Here's North Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing, Neil?
Great.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have two questions, and then I want to say something about the pot. How come you can't get ice cream like Italy here? Because I eat a lot of pistachio. I don't eat a lot of ice cream, but man, I eat it every day in Italy. Pistachio ice cream in Italy.
Gelato, sir. Gelato is not ice cream. It's gelato. It's made. It doesn't have all that cream, and it's not all that chalk and artificial crap. It's made from all natural stuff, and they don't make it here. Once in a while, a place will come along and try to make good gelato, and even if it is good, the public's taste here is so bad because they're busy eating Breyers and Sealtest and Edie's that those places go out of business.
Man, I'm not an ice cream eater, but I was eating it every day, twice a day.
Yeah.
I mean, every little shop had it.
Well, when I go to Italy, I eat it a lot, and the ice cream, too.
Hey, and I have a question for George. You guys used to have this commercial called Field Extreme Watches. Was it his voice on it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought...
Yeah, he apologizes profusely for it, too.
And about, let me ask you a question. If this guy would have been from Amsterdam where it's legal to smoke pot, what were they going to say to the guy?
Well, it's interesting because now that is a good point. Marijuana, they were just saying on CNN that marijuana is not among the substances listed at the Olympics as being illegal, but that it reverts back to the country and the laws there. So if it were one of the Dutch players, like a soccer player, of course they're not playing no soccer in the Winter Olympics, but whatever the Dutch competitors are, ice skater, then it would not be a problem. How do you like that? And Canada says that's blatantly unfair and a bunch of crap, and they're crying foul. Eh?
Oh, boy. I don't think that's very fair.
How do you like that? How do you like them green apples, huh?
Those green apples.
I say that this guy, Graziano or Gabriati, I say he should move to Amsterdam would be a good idea.
Hey, there you go.
At least he'd have a good time.
And as far as drug testing in the workplace,
yes.
Until they can't drug test you at the moment and know how much you've had at that particular moment, I think they should just ban it altogether, because there's no way that you're going to tell me what I have to do in my house, in my car, or what I do at any time that I'm not at work, because I only work for them for 8 hours, not the rest of my day. So that's the bottom line with that.
Next thing, they're going to be doing fish food testing.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, why don't we just survey? Let's see. Hey, you're fat. I want you to test to see how much food you've been eating.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line? You know what I mean? Well, let me get a Q-tip and check this woman's mouth. Maybe she's been giving oral sex to somebody in the parking lot.
Oh, right. Now you're talking. Okay, have a great day, pal.
You too.
Okay. Sounds like a job he wants.
I did that one time when I was about 15 years old.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
So anyway, let's do a mobile in West Palm Beach. Hello.
Neil, can't disagree with you more about the pot smoking. Okay, I'm an ex-pot addict from the age of 15 to 25.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was more addicting than coke, than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to smoke.
And more addicting than fish food, too, I bet.
Correct.
George is peeing in his pants in the other room. Better take a sample, by the way.
I'm 38 now. I stopped 13 years ago. But before we played baseball, we smoked. Before we went to the movies, we smoked. Before we had sex, we smoked. Before anything, we needed pot. We couldn't do it without pot.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends are still...
Well, let me ask you this. As much as I frown upon people who are, obsessed with pot, because there are people who are juvenile and sit around sifting and picking seeds all day, and they think that's a life, but nevertheless...
No,
wait a minute. But how did
we had this green stuff that had no seeds in it. I mean...
How did it affect your life?
It affected it tremendously because it opened the door to, and you're going to think this is a joke, it opened the door to coke, It opened the door.
Gateway drug.
Yeah.
No, once you violate your body.
So I guess you better never have a beer because next thing you're going to be.
No, I never liked beer, but I'm telling you, it affected me in the workplace. It affected me driving. I had a lot of
No, but the argument that, it's the same argument as you better never have a beer because then you're going to become an alcoholic and you're going to start drinking, sticking vodka bottles in your pocket. I mean, there are always going to be people, no matter what you're talking about. They're the Al Goldsteins of the world are going to go out and eat until they get to be 500 pounds. Does that mean we should outlaw any foods that are fattening?
No, but you know why I've changed? I have 2 kids of my own now, and they're 14 and 11, and they're getting to that age where I remember when I was.
So you better stop.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I've stopped a long time ago. But I'm saying now I'm overprotective.
No, he can smell it because they're bringing theirs home.
I mean, my parents were like George's. They were refugees from Cuba. They came down here.
Yeah.
And they didn't
know Cubans don't smoke weed. We know that.
They didn't know any better. They were working 14 hours a day. I was alone at home, and all my friends did, and we did it. And I'm telling you, I protect them. They didn't know any, but I couldn't disagree with you more. I'm glad they're testing for it, and I hope that they keep it out of everything because it does affect my life.
Yeah, you know something? I know that when I go over to Holland, man, every time I've only been in Amsterdam about 30 times, and when I go over there, it's a miracle that country can function. You know it?
Well, Neil, let me tell you something. While we were on it, we were less aggressive.
Sir, let me ask you: have you ever been to Amsterdam?
Never been to Amsterdam.
Well, get on a plane and go there. You might learn something. There's a pot addict for you there, boys and girls. There's a good lesson for everybody. He's obsessed. It's like the fish food addicts. I say we go to Publix right now and may enforce them to take it right out of the freezer container because we have fish food addicts already, and those people are going to kill themselves on that crap because they're out of control. And let's close down every bar because we got alcoholics. Let's bring back Prohibition, baby. Let's prohibit everything. Then we got sex addicts. Just watch, what's his name, Jerry Springer. He'll do about 20 shows on that this week. Sex addicts. People who can't get enough. They're doing it. The NBA, they want to do drug testing. We got a guy, a Canadian jock. If a snowboarder can wear a jock strap, whatever the hell he was, this guy may lose his gold medal because he may have actually inhaled a little bit, or may have actually smoked a little bit, or may have actually walked through a room somewhere where somebody may have smoked it or not, as the case may be, and they found like a little trace in his... Squirt? Yeah. And they're having a nervous breakdown now because of the, Sudafed. What else? What else can we test for in your system? Definitely have fish food testing because we know it makes your blood sugar go way up and you become irresponsible, and God only knows you're not fit for driving. I wouldn't be surprised if they stop you at street corners now at stoplights and they do on-the-spot checks, blood sugar tests. They give you that little pin prick, if I can say that. And, look at my fingertips, man. Look at all those pin pricks. That's right, when you're diabetic, you have a lot of pin pricks on the tips of your fingers. But at any rate, they're going to be starting doing that spot checks on street corners now. And if your blood sugar is like over 250, man, you're straight to jail. You're a menace to society. You're going to kill somebody out there. Airline pilot, before you get on that plane, make sure he didn't have no fish food before he took off. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello there.
Yes, sir.
First-time caller. I guess I'd be an acute caller since I'm not chronic.
Okay.
But anyway, I consider myself a well-trained, high-precision cynic.
Yes,
so I agree with a lot of the things that you talk about.
But
in the United States, of course, what right we all have really is the right to be as irresponsible as we want to be until, you reach a certain limit. And we have these freedoms, and people they abuse them until it starts costing somebody some money somewhere, and then they got to go and do something about taking that freedom away. But
what does that mean? When has marijuana ever been decriminalized in America?
Well, I mean, it hasn't. But the reasons for that.
They tried Prohibition with booze, and that sure worked real well, didn't it?
No, and it's a problem.
Worked for Joe Kennedy real well.
We can't expect our people to be responsible with the freedoms that they have. Like, we have a small business. And we've got, we do contracting and that sort of thing, and you got guys, they're not exactly the, top models of society, but they go out and they're doing physical labor for you, and they're climbing rooftops and things like that. And we've had cases in the past where people were under the influences of substances and they get into accidents. And then the customer...
Well, if you're liable for it, I can understand.
Yeah. And
you're talking about a physical... Right, I understand that.
And then not only that, but the employee sues you too. Even though he was the one who was irresponsible on the job. So, So what do you do about that?
Well, in that case, that's an exception. I wouldn't have any problem with that.
I can see in the NBA where if a guy is stoned, he's not going to injure somebody out on the court. If anything, he'll take fewer shots.
And he probably wouldn't beat up the coach.
Good point. But the thing is, we have something that we do at work here. Not that it works, but it's an attempt anyway. That's called a drug-free workplace. And you start off your relationship with the business under the assumption that, you're not going to... This isn't going to be something you're going to be doing on the job, so we're allowed to drug test before you start the job and that sort of thing. And what's sad about this is it's amazing how many people who call up looking for a job And you say, oh, but by the way, this is a drug-free workplace. How many people show up, fill out the forms, and then just never appear again?
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
Well, but isn't that their choice? You just got to
attend with. Absolutely. But the thing is, if a business is going to be responsible for what its employees do, then we have to feel safe and secure that they're not going to be out drinking.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think that you got you have a right because you're liable, and you have a right to make sure that they're not doing whatever might impair their senses, etc. But that's a very rare exception. If somebody's doing an office job at a desk, unless of course they're making decisions that are like national security risking, something like that.
Or
I can understand that.
For a studio, or for radio equipment or something like that.
Right, exactly. And in fact, I think it might help to have some drugs for these bastards over here.
But the thing is, once again, as a society, if the people aren't going to be responsible enough to be able to decide when they are or aren't going to use the substances, you can't expect.
But you know something.
You can't expect them to be responsible.
But you know something, sir. Let me say something to you, and that is that as long as things are forbidden, when you go to Europe, there is no drinking age in any country that I know of in Europe, and yet Italy especially. Public drunkenness is frowned upon to such an extent that they would come and beat the crap out of you if they found you staggering around drunk in the street. They would take you undercover somewhere and give you a lecture and sober you up and tell you better not ever do it again.
Yep, right.
And you don't have any problem of young people staggering around drunk or killing each other because they're drinking and driving. You don't have that. Now the French have it because they got a bunch of drunks over there to begin with. But I'm talking about in countries where they're generally socially responsible in the first place, like Italy and like Holland and those. You don't have that problem.
Yeah, but Spain
there's no drinking age. There's no smoking age.
Alcoholism rates, in the world, though. And
what?
Spain and Russia have very high alcoholism rates, and they also have.
Well, what does that have to do with Italy?
It doesn't. But it's just.
What does that have to do with Holland, which is the freest country in the world? What does that have to do with it?
It depends on the culture. They grow up with that kind of freedom. In the U.S., we
there
aren't
you
trained
go.
to be
That's what I just got through saying to you. And so the longer you make things forbidden, the more people want them. That's my point.
Okay. Before I leave, or you cut me off anyway, I want to give you something. I don't know if you can use this as a card, but I want to do a celebrity impersonation for you.
Yeah. Okay. See ya. Now that wasn't bad, George. That was almost cute. It wasn't a very good. The consensus is, let's see. Mike from the Keys says it's too expensive. That's his. That's his opinion. He likes a little weed now, and he said too damn expensive. Here's Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
What's up, Neil? Love your show.
Thank you so much.
Listen, it is kind of expensive, but I wanted to say this whole marijuana thing is just out of hand. I mean, the government, they must be some like babbling chimps pushing buttons somewhere. They don't realize that marijuana is probably the safest intoxicant on this planet. It's less harmful than alcohol. It has never been documented to give cancer like, cigar and cigarettes, which I'm not complaining about cigars.
And it doesn't send your blood sugar raising up like sugar does either. But
not at all.
Sugar, I guarantee you right now, sugar is a lot more dangerous than marijuana ever can be. And I don't think they did any sugar testing on this Schmendrick Gabriati guy, this snowboarder that won a gold medal over there in Nagano.
Absolutely.
Let's take his blood sugar and see if he was doing fish food before he did the thing.
Absolutely. And, I like cigars too. While I was listening to the other day, I was wondering how come you didn't like Garcia and Vegas. I wanted to ask you that as well. That's like my cigar of choice.
No, I do like Garcia Vegas.
Oh, you like them?
But I mean, they don't make them in mix, which is my sponsor, so I'm not going to come on here and say, hey, I smoke Garcia Vegas.
Which ones do you like in particular?
The Galantes.
You never had the English Coronas?
Oh, I don't touch those English ones.
Oh, yeah, the English Coronas are fabulous, especially if you're rolling your dope in them.
Oh, okay.
But thanks a lot, Neil.
Okay, have a great day. Let's go to Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
Well, listen, a couple bad things. Unfortunately, marijuana is classified as a Schedule I drug, which means it's right up there with cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and Jerry Springer as perhaps the worst drugs of all mankind.
And fish food.
And fish food. But, this is just a word for that guy who... Was that guy kidding when there was a guy who called in, he said, I run a workplace, and I tell people that I drug test, but I don't really drug test, and then that just... sort of weeds out the people, pardon mind the pun, it weeds out the people that really don't want to take a drug test.
That's not what he said.
What was it? I missed that whole thing about, he said that he drug tested?
No, he does drug test, and he said that a lot of people come by and they fill out the application, and when they find out it's a drug-free workplace, that they don't hear from him again, is what he said.
All right. Well, I think he's a fascist because, he's basically just got a bunch of people that were doing, like, yard work or something, Anyway.
Yeah, but they're going up on roofs and things, and he's responsible. He's got the liability insurance for that. I can understand that.
I don't know, man.
I mean, if you're stoned on any substance, I don't care what it is. I don't want to be responsible for your work or driving or whatever else you're doing.
The thing is that they might not be up on the roof and be stoned at the same time. They might go home, watch Jerry Springer, and then be stoned, and then go back to work and be perfectly straight and still fail that miserable test.
Okay, I think the show's on now. What the hell was the point? I wasn't going to wait around long enough to find out. Here's a lady in Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How you be doing?
I'd be doing fine.
All right.
I just wanted to make a comment about the pothead that called earlier that said he smoked for 10 years.
Yeah.
He said that the marijuana made him try other drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's been betrayed, as everyone else has been betrayed by all the uptight people in this country, because they tell you that marijuana be bad for you and it's evil and all this stuff. And then when you try it and it's not that bad, you say, well, they lied about this. Well, maybe they lied about everything else, too. So.
Deliciously different marijuana. Deliciously different marijuana.
This poor guy's going to go back to Canada with his medal between his legs, never be the same again, because they found this little teeny tiny trace of marijuana in his test.
Neil?
Yes.
I say we all get on a plane, go to Italy, and smoke a blunt.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
The Pope is over there. He's doing it. If it's okay for the Pope, how come it ain't so good? What do you think that big puff over the Vatican is? That's not what you think it is.
That's the celebratory smoke.
Yeah, they're celebrating it all right.
Why do you think they keep burning incense?
Cover it up. That's why they do a lot of things. That's why they put those gowns on to cover it up. That's why they're wearing those kilts in Scotland, baby. Cover it up.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
Want to pour some pot? Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
I've never listened to your show before, but I was interested in your views on why it's illegal in the first place. I mean, is it all a conspiracy?
Sir, because this is a repressive society in which we live. Let me say it again. These archaic sodomy laws that are in the books in most states in this country, in which anything except a face-to-face missionary position, sex between married male and female. What, you're laughing about it, okay? But it's true. We have all these archaic laws on the books because this is a country of hypocrites, a country that's living in the Stone Age, because we got a bunch of old fuddy-duddies up there who don't have the balls to repeal these archaic, stupid, intrusive laws that have no place in a civilized society.
Well, in marijuana's case, hemp, whatever, there would be no national debt if they would have taxed it and grown it the last 20 years.
Well, let me say this to you, sir. The idea that the federal government, listen to this, the federal government can tell you what seed you can plant in the backyard of your home, on your property. The idea that the government can legislate that is so outrageous and so unacceptable as to be just inexplicable.
I agree. I can't argue with that one bit.
They have all these helicopters. They're wasting time because people are growing a few plants in their backyard. In the meantime, up the corner, kids are shooting themselves because Daddy left his six-shooter laying around, and everybody and their brother in this country is running around with a goddamn gun. But God forbid if somebody's growing a few plants in the backyard. We got the helicopters going overhead, baby, and we're going to catch you. The pot police are there. You maniacs. Just like in where the hell did I do with that? Local section this morning. Here we go. Businessman or sex purveyor, police. This Arthur Van Kirken, whatever his name is, Kirken Jerkin, ran a $6 million prostitution ring. How do you like that? In Fort Lauderdale. He had 50 women on their payroll, their names neatly lined up on a magnetic board under headings such as blondes, brunettes, and orientals. The clients, more than 20,000 men between West Palm Beach and North Miami, who paid $180 in cash or $200 by credit card for acts that ranged from straight sex to unusual fetishes. So, who the hell gives a crap? Probably ran a clean operation. Probably not too many people getting no diseases from that operation. Probably headed on the up and up. He's going to jail. Everything in this goddamn country is illegal, man. Everything is the forbidden fruit, if we can say it. Oh, and of course forget that. Talk about a fruit. Forget about that. Everything's illegal. Everything's immoral, unless, of course, it's the politicians who are doing it, like Dan Romer, he's doing it over there, and like Bill Clinton, of course, he's doing it left and right, in which we like him a lot more and respect him because he's getting it, that's okay. But if we're getting it, then, of course, it's evil and we all go to jail. Juvenile and unacceptable. Unacceptable. You're brainwashed, baby. When are you going to go? Just wake up and sniff it a little bit, and the flowers, too. Brainwashing. Goody two-shoes. We have to have a drinking age, and we have to have an age for everything. A smoking age. In other words, when you're 21, it's okay to get yourself lung cancer, but if you're 19, then you're not old enough to make that decision. Just like this crap about the age of majority. Most countries, this is just a matter of opinion. Most countries, even some that we consider very backward, the legal age for consensual sexual acts is 15 or 16. In this country, it's what? 17 for heterosexual acts and 18 for... Yes, there's a different age. for heterosexual or homosexual acts, of course. Or is it 18 for both?
There's all these gray areas depending on which state you're in.
I didn't say gay areas. I said well, we'll find out. What state you're in, like, is in the prone or what position you're in?
If you're more than 2 years older, you can be 16 as long as the person isn't more than 2 years older and over 18.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Like that
so in other words, if a 19-year-old guy's banging a 16-year-old chick, he's in violation of the law? Is that what you're saying to me?
Something like that.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
Isn't that absurd? Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello?
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Back to you. Happy Sukkot.
Yeah. On that prostitution ring, the guy's from Boca, not Fort Lauderdale. No big deal.
Well, there you go.
You're right.
Close enough for us.
Yeah, you got it. Another thing on the pot. I own a business. I drug test. Right on the application. You bring the drugs in, I test them.
All right.
Whoa!
All right, see you at the track, pal. Well, we certainly know nothing about drugs. There's your kind of boss, George.
I thought we had that.
Oh, yeah. He wouldn't know what to do with them. As in...
Happy Purim!
The frog got back, and I think I want to kill one.
Who's back?
He cut me off, going down US 1.
I feel like crap.
The sign's a 45, but he's doing 22.
Damn it, I'm trapped.
So watch out, frog, 'cause I'm coming after you.
I'm gonna snap.
Yeah, I'm gonna run you down. So get your fat ass out of town. Frog beating out, you're such a scary sight.
You're sick.
The waitress knows there's no tip tonight.
I hope she spit.
She doesn't speak French and the frog gets pissed.
Why is he pissed?
But when the check comes, we can read English.
Suck mine.
Yeah, we know folks like to eat, but do they have to be so cheap? Why must you frogs migrate all the way to Florida?
Go back! Go back!
Why can't you just stop at south of the border?
Go back!
We don't want you! Frogs on the beach is such a scary sight.
Look at that!
The belly's spilling over and the spandex pulled tight.
Wow, are they fat? I wish they'd just go back. I can't take it anymore. When is summer coming? I'll help them back.
Speaking of driving cross country, you don't realize how many goyim there are in this country. I'm thinking of driving across the interstates, and you stop at one of those spookies or stuckies or whatever they're called. Man, talk about packed with goyim with bad taste. Although I do like some of that candy. The peanut brittle's okay.
Ever have a nut roll?
Yeah, when it slipped out of my hand. Didn't roll too far, though. Here's Coconut Grove. Hello.
There's no fags in Columbus.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Hey, Neil, do you remember a couple of years ago, maybe one or two, a guy was driving down I-75. He was depressed, wanted to commit suicide, and he jumped into his pickup truck with a six-pack. Started driving down I-75 the wrong way.
Right. I remember that? Yeah, sure do.
It's stuff like that that makes me think. I don't understand why alcohol's legal and marijuana's not.
Right.
Obviously, I'm a smoker.
Good point.
Real quick.
Think how much weed he would have had to smoke for the same effect.
Think about it.
And how long it would have taken.
Real quick, Neil. I heard a song about tongues, religious tongues, speaking in tongues, and that kind of gave me a flashback.
Yeah.
We used to be a Pentecostal. And I grew up, and I remember seeing my grandmother, my mom, and just like talking in tongues and dropping on the floor, and I would just sit there and giggle. You know, it made no sense to me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, real quick, Neil.
It's enough to give me the heebie-jeebies just thinking
I sang you a song once. It was for the Panthers, No Sé Tú, and I got another one. Please let me sing it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Chris Webber. I'm Chris Webber. Got arrested for a bag of red hair. I'm the ghetto dream, to play b-ball without a drug screen. I'm Chris Webber, I'm Chris Webber. Call time out when I got sprayed with pepper. Burn my eyes, that's mean. How about a couple drops of Visine? I'm James Brown, I'm James Brown. Neil.
Yeah.
In closing. There's no fact in the church.
Here's Miami Springs. Hello.
Yeah, hi. No,
Yes,
I was calling because I heard the guy talking about the fact that it was legal, and it was legal. But you know, I don't smoke marijuana. I haven't done since college days. But the thing is, I'm a firm believer that as long as it doesn't kill you and you're not harming anybody else, go ahead and do
Well, let me ask
what
you
you
this.
want.
Let me ask you this. Can you go into a drugstore right now and buy rat poison?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
you can.
Yes.
And that will kill you. You know, it's got warning labels on the can or whatever you're buying it. And you can go into any store. You can go into a supermarket, you go into a drugstore, and buy legally all kinds of substances that will kill you. You can go into Home Depot and buy paint thinner, and if you drink it, it will kill you. I guarantee you that. Make no mistake about it. So the idea that something may or may not be harmful for you, which is all very subjective, by the way, and a lot of it very dubious and debatable. But since when is that the only job that I see the government is to tell us, give us the information. Tell us, can this be harmful to me? How harmful is it? And then let me make my own goddamn decision.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is that the only reason it was made illegal it is because it's relatively easy to grow and difficult to tax.
Yeah.
And by the lobbying of both alcohol and cigarettes, which alcohol is relatively easy, but the question of cigarettes, growing it, drying it out, and actually making cigarettes on your own, most people aren't going to do. Whereas anybody could grow a plant in the backyard and then just simply take a few leaves, let them dry out in the oven, and then smoke it.
Oh my God!
And apparently that's what they don't want, and there would be a lot of competition for those two other industries.
Oh my God!
Whereas in tobacco, that's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt.
That's killing people every day, sir.
Exactly.
There are people puffing on faggots right now who are going to croak from lung cancer and emphysema, and we've warned them, and we've had all those craggy voice guys. The guy that used to play Hamilton Berger on Perry Mason, what the hell was his name? The guy I'm talking about. I'm dying from lung cancer, and John Wayne, and all these other big macho guys that are croaking. And if they tell you that and you still want to smoke, then go ahead, be my guest.
And in closing,
just don't blow it in my face. That's what Monica said.
They're puffing on cigarettes, too.
Exactly. Have a great day, pal.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
What are we getting all worked up about? Just because we realize we live in a country where our freedoms are very limited, and we have a bunch of assholes sitting around deciding what you can do and what you can't do, and telling you what's good for you and what's not. And then we have some idiots who are going along with that, who want to be manipulated. Well, if you want to be manipulated, okay, go to some fascist goddamn place. Go to some communist country. Go to Cuba, for Christ's sake. Go live with Fidel. He'll tell you what you can do and what you can't do. Go live with the Pope. You'll have one hell of a time there, man. Go live in the Vatican, under the watchful eye of the cardinals, man. I don't mean Stan Musial. You won't be able to do anything that's fun because they're busy taking it all up themselves.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale. We're the bomb. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Ah, Jesus, are you f***ing kidding me?
Well, you can smoke it, you can chew it, you can really try to do it, smoking pot. Well, you can sing it in a song, you can smoke it in a bomb, smoking pot. Well, it's a label, you got people that day, smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Come on, let's go smoking pot. Well, there was Easy Brickell and the new Bohemian smoking pot. Well, there's the Black Crows and driving and crying smoking pot. It's the spinning dogs and blue trappers smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Let's go smoking pot. Come on, let's go smoking pot. Let's go. But I forgot it because I smoked too much pot. I went to Lollapalooza and everybody out there was smoking pot. I saw flying melon and the red hot chili pepper and the Pearl Jam and white bread panic. Let's go smoke the pot! Let's go smoke the pot! Let's go smoke the pot!
He's on the air. He's advocating marijuana. No, I'm not. I'm not advocating anything other than maybe a little bit of freedom, okay? Maybe getting the government out of your nose and out of your ashtray and doing important things so that people could walk the streets safely, and maybe that the food that you eat might be safe for you to eat, and things like that, little minor things that they ought to be taken care of instead of doing things that we don't want them to do for us. Here, let me help you across the street. It's that old deal again. Oh, I don't want to cross the street. Well, I'm going to drag you over there anyway, whether you want to go or not. Thank you. You know, when I left here yesterday, I went home and I drove out of the thing, and there was a Metro cop who made a U-turn on the side street, and then he pulled up right alongside me at the red light, and I looked at him, and he kind of looked at me with kind of a, look like that. And I thought to myself, you know something? All the things that I talked about here yesterday, like marijuana and about illegal prostitution and all these stupid things they got on Biscayne Boulevard, I've been here for 22 freaking years, and it never changed, and never will change. Just a waste of your tax dollars going right down the toilet. Speed traps, prostitutes, and marijuana bust. That's what it's all about. That's police work in America for you, and especially in this town. And as I drove away from the porker out there, I thought to myself, since we have so many porkers listening, does it really do your heart good to know that you're wasting your time on all these wonderful victimless, so-called victimless crimes? That you're really protecting us from the murderers and the rapists and the arsonists, and making Miami and this whole area a safe place to live? Yeah, it's really safe, ain't it? Let's go downtown tonight. Let's take about 100 people and just walk around downtown Miami tonight and show that we got the courage to do it. Okay? You first. So the marijuana thing is much ado about nothing, and I heard who the hell was? Oh, it was that the Boogster. Another one of those juvenile sports holes. Really juvenile. Talking about that last night. Oh yeah, he got caught with the wicked weed, with the marijuana, and talking about it like this was like, I mean, grow up already, will you? Although in his case, he better not start smoking it, because if he eats any more, he'll blow up like a guy like Al Goldstein, that Boogster. Oh, yeah, the wicked weed. I mean, when are you people going to come out of La La Land like that sin broad that called this morning? What is it that's so offensive to her? In other words, women out there, their stuff don't stink. The women, by the way, are the ones that are watching Jerry Springer every day. There's no men home during those hours. The women are the ones that are watching all these crazy talking head shows with all this contrived, phony bullcrap where they're allegedly beating each other up on the stage, which is all staged and all a bunch of crap. Those are the people that are supporting that garbage. The women of America whose minds have turned to jello. But this show is too outrageous and offensive for them poor babies. Hey, Sin. That fucking bitch. Have a wonderful day, because I know you're listening. At any rate, the other big story, of course, is the Casey Martin ruling, which I told you the judge, having common sense, ruled the right way and said he can play and cut the crap and stop discriminating. And Mike Berardino, whoever he is, writes a very thinly veiled editorial, not just a commentary, but an editorial. And he keeps saying we this and we don't agree. What he means we is the editorial board of the Sun Sentinel, since they already wrote a stupid editorial a few days ago, which I read on the air, about this cart thing. Let me say it for the 8 millionth time, all you blues-nosed. Even Greg Kotex in a Herald's got a good column on it today, and if even he can see it, all you blue-nosed assholes. What's the word that Greg Kotex uses? He said the golfers are too persnickety to do it right. That's exactly right. Golfing is not an endurance contest, because if it were, they'd have to carry their own clubs, okay? Walking from one hole to another is not what golf is all about. It's a contest of skill is what it's all about, and it's boring to begin with, okay? But in this day and age, for a major newspaper like the Scum Sentinel to be supporting discrimination because a guy is handicapped and because these other pansies are afraid that he might beat their pants off based on pure golfing skill is really pathetic. So let's make no mistake about it, the Sun Sentinel favors discrimination. How do you like that? Because that's all it is, plain and simple. And now, of course, the PGA, instead of just gracefully accepting the ruling, which everybody knew was coming, now they're going to appeal it. Because all those incredibly meaningful human beings like Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and Ken Venturi, whose great contribution to the human race has been playing a stupid goddamn game, they're too uptight about it, even though they're riding their golf carts in the seniors tour. That's because they're old farts. They're over 50. Which makes, if that makes them old farts, what the hell does that make me? Ancient. Exactly. And I don't ride no golf cart because I don't play a stupid goddamn game called golf. But what a grotesque thing that a major newspaper alleged, like the Sun Sentinel, continues hanging on to this blue nose mentality. We know what color their nose is. Blue and brown, baby, big time. Here's Boca. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more on these cops out there. I don't know where to start. I'm 38 years old, and always been pretty hard working, made good money, paid my taxes, paid my bills on time, and I've always enjoyed driving a nice car. Right now I'm driving a Corvette. I think you are too.
Yes, I am.
It's, these cretins that they allow to be cops that roam our streets are just amazing to me. They've been allowed to, criminalize normal behavior, such as...
And not only that, but they like to terrorize the public. I'm driving home yesterday on the 595, going west out toward, Plantation. And here's an FHP, and of course the FHP are the most useless of all. That's just a waste of taxpayers' money. And this asshole is in the middle lane, and then he finally gets over in the right-hand lane so that he can terrorize all three lanes, and he's going 54 miles an hour, okay? So now naturally everybody around him is in gridlock, because that's the whole concept, is to slow traffic to a crawl and show them it's a big power trip, okay? And I thought I would never get the hell home. 54 miles an hour, and of course I'm like boxed in there like, a horse race. I'm locked in behind a dead piece, and I got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and let them see that Corvette, and they're attracted to you like a magnet.
Yeah, like a maggot.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the real bad guys, the guys that are doing the real crime,
the O.J. Simpsons of the world, we can never convict any of those.
Absolutely.
Once in a blue moon.
See, I have this theory that, basically what they want to do is they want to harass normal people because they know they have the money to pay the fines, which generates the funds to keep them in existence. And if they go after the real bad guys, it's going to cost them.
See, let me say something really revolutionary here today, okay? And that is that when we're talking about police work, laws, like speeding laws, were made to protect people from danger, not to harass people, not to give a cop the right or a community the right to write business so they can raise revenue. So in other words, if I don't come to a complete stop at a stop sign at 2:30 in the morning when there's no other car for 50 miles around in any direction, the idea that some cop sitting under a tree can write me a traffic ticket for not coming for running or a stop sign or whatever it is unbelievable. It's just unacceptable, and the public in this country are so brainwashed and so pussified that they just come to accept this like, oh yeah, this is right, you got to obey the law. Yeah, man.
Well, I'm with you.
Or like if I'm out in the middle of a highway on I-75 over on the west coast at 2 in the morning, and there's nobody around for as far as the eye can see, and I'm going, the speed limit is like 70 and I'm going 85, what the hell difference does it make? And isn't it interesting, by the way, after all the brainwashing about speed kills and this crap, how slowly but surely we're getting back to 65 and 70 mile an hour speed limits on the turnpike and parts of 95 and I-75. Isn't that interesting? And nobody's running around screaming, oh, speed kills! That was the biggest bunch of propaganda and another excuse to write more goddamn business for the porkers.
That's what it is.
Amen.
Hey, I agree with you. Just to change the subject, I called I guess about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I predicted this Casey Martin thing would, I thought he would win. I mean, it's the right thing to do.
Well, he's won so far, but they're going to appeal it now because, their badge of honor has been challenged here, and being the bunch of hard asses that they are, they're not willing to accept the ruling of a judge. In fact, the Sun Sentinel even insults our intelligence by saying, well, this was a judge in his hometown, Eugene, Oregon, so, there's favoritism there, as if any other judge with a brain anywhere else wouldn't rule the same thing.
Yeah. It's the right thing to do, though.
Amen.
Hopefully one time the right thing will win out. Listen, I've got one other thing to say. I have seen Boog at the arena a few times.
Yeah.
You're right. He is one big unit, and he definitely doesn't need to eat any more than he has to stay alive. Take care, Neil.
Have a great day, pal. But I do like that orange hair. See, it's called conditioning the public. It's like anything else. It's like, Pavlov and the dog with the bell. You can condition people the same way you can do an animal. And over a period of your lifetime, if you're conditioned to the fact that every time you're going 10 miles over the speed limit, you got to keep looking at it. I mean, I'm not suggesting you should be able to go any speed you want, because, you're going 140 miles an hour. It's dangerous unless it's in a beautiful Corvette at, 2:30 in the morning on I-75. It should be okay. Let's air that baby out when in doubt. But if you're going, I'll give you a classic example out by me there, Hiatus Road. There's a canal on one side. There isn't one single house that faces Hiatus Road between Sunrise and Broward. Not one. There are a couple of churches that are set way back off the street. There are a couple of houses on corners way behind trees and bushes that face side streets. But there are no little kids. There's nobody. Nobody lives there. And the speed limit is 35 miles an hour. And where do you think is one of the favorite spots for setting up their speed traps in Plantation Acres is on Hiatus Road between Sunrise and Broward Boulevard. So they can write business. Not because anybody is in jeopardy there, not because somebody's going to get killed or run over, but because it's a great place, because nobody in their right mind is going to drive 35 miles an hour on that road. So please don't insult my intelligence, Mr. Porker out there and Mrs. Porker, that you're out there to protect me Because I've been all over the world, and I've been in places where it's safe to walk the streets at 2 in the afternoon and 2 in the morning and whatever the hell you want. And you don't have all these lunatics running around with goddamn guns and kids getting shot because daddy left the gun on the table or whatever the reason is this week. Like that 5-year-old kid that got killed the other day because, oh, well, we don't know where the gun came from. Great, that's good. That's good parental supervision. That's police work in America for you, baby, and that's why the public has come to accept this slaughterhouse as like this is the way things are supposed to be in the world. Right. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. Every time it used to be many, many years ago, you saw a cop, like when I'm in Italy. I see a cop standing around with an Uzi on his shoulder, standing on over by the Piazza della Repubblica, wherever he is, and I'm happy to see that. Because I know he's not going to hassle me, and the fact that he's there is going to make damn sure even the goddamn gypsies won't come around in that neighborhood for a while till he's gone. Because he's there to make sure that there's a little law and order going on. When you see a cop car here, right away, the first thing you think of is, you look at the speedometer. And then you think, do I have my seatbelt buckled up? And do I have my finger in the wrong place now? And all those things. Not the cop is my friend anymore, but he's out there to hassle the crap out of me because he's on an ego trip. A power goddamn trip.
You guys are my best friends, to take us in. We've always been together, we're four of a kind, having fun all day, palling around and laughing away. Just best friends are we. I love you guys.
Florida Center for Cosmetic Surgery.
All together now.
Just one look is worth 1,000 books.
Sister Mary Catherine. Jesus.
Let's take a call in on Lady North Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Neil.
How are you?
Could be better. I usually talk to you. I'm chronic now, but since I'm a lady, I figure it's okay.
Yes, it is.
This morning between 7:30 and 8 in headline news,
yeah.
I saw on the bottom they have in each state some kind of news. And from the state of Texas, they said another settlement with a church, $5 million on some kind of abuse, sexual abuse.
Right.
But I don't believe it because there's no facts in the church. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And I love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a great day. How dare you say that, you bastard, you. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Just off the subject for a minute.
What's the subject?
Traffic enforcement.
Oh.
Does George know that when he's talking during the commercial
yes,
break,
he does,
can hear him on hold?
Yes, he does. That's the idea. We like that.
Oh, good. I liked hearing about the guy with the yellow hair.
Mm-hmm. The fag with the yellow hair.
Well, I left that out. He sounds like an interesting guy, by the way.
There's no facts in the church.
I think he's a priest.
Do you realize how contradictory your position is on traffic enforcement?
And why is that?
Because if it's an intersection where you get pissed off at the people, you're happy they're giving tickets, but if it's something that you're doing, then you think it's an invasion of your privacy to get a ticket.
Oh, so in other words, if somebody is creating when did I ever say that if somebody is driving irresponsibly or not driving according to the law that they shouldn't get a ticket? I'm not saying we just have anarchy on the highway. When did I ever say that?
But who decides what's appropriate?
If you're what?
Who decides what's appropriate? Do you think the average asshole on the street
Because the laws have been created to protect people, not to hassle people. They're there to protect people. So if maybe you're driving at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're weaving a little bit on I-75 and maybe made a little bad lane change, but there's nobody else on the road, what difference does it make?
It's very rarely
like
somebody will get cited for that.
What?
That's very rarely someone will get cited for that.
Give me a break. When's the last time? I assume that you must be a police person.
Well,
of course.
You want to know.
When's the last time you wrote a ticket to an old person for going too slow?
Oh, believe me, old people get tickets all the time.
For going too slow.
Too slow. There's not really a statute for going too slow.
Yeah.
Unless
wait a minute. On the interstate, there is not a maximum and minimum.
Sure. On the interstate.
When's the last time you wrote a ticket for an old fart going too slow?
I don't patrol the interstate. I don't work for the highway patrol.
Well, when's the last time you saw anybody do that?
I can't remember.
I've never seen it.
But I see a lot more people speeding than I see people driving too slow.
Yeah. And how about people driving in the left-hand lane on the interstate or on the turnpike or on any superhighway who are going like under the speed limit or not going anywhere?
Sure, that bugs me too.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's an invasion of their privacy just because you're doing something you think is okay. I mean, who are you to decide that what you're doing is okay, but what they're doing is not?
Well, now, what are we talking about now?
You're saying that when you speed, you know it's okay because you can decide for yourself when it's okay to speed.
That is not what I said at all.
That's exactly what you said.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
It's not related to what I said.
You said that You said that you decide for yourself when you're speeding.
I never said anything even remotely like that.
You know that it's okay because there's nobody around. Nothing will happen.
First of all, I never said anything because I don't drive that fast to begin with. So you're full of baloney on that.
Okay.
And number two, what I did say was that if somebody hypothetically is driving 70 miles an hour in a 55 at 2 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody else on the highway for as far as the eye can see, that doesn't merit a speeding ticket because it is not creating any kind of a hazard to anybody else, and it's just nitpicking.
In most cases, somebody probably would not be cited for that.
Oh, give me a break.
But now
look, now you know as well as I do that if there was a speed trap set up somewhere, those are the kind of people that you guys are looking for.
Why do you think they set up stuff like that, besides for making money?
Will you tell me?
Because they want to get people conditioned to the idea to try and stay around the speed limit.
Oh, give me a break. They want to get people conditioned to the idea of staying around the speed limit.
If there's nobody around,
I see people doing the most. Look, this is Florida, okay, my friend. Everybody who can breathe gets a driver's license in this state, and they can be over the age of 100 and they still get a renewal in the mail automatically for a 6-year renewal. We got more people driving irresponsibly. We don't have any kind of a inspection system in this state, so there's people with no brakes, bald tires, no headlights. I don't ever see those people getting pulled over. I don't see anybody in law enforcement screaming, we need an inspection system in this state to get all the crap off the road here so it really is safe. All you're talking about is writing business, and you know it as well. You can argue with me from now till midnight. You're never going to change anybody's mind. All you're doing is writing business.
How do you know what people are getting cited for? When you go down the street and you see a car pulled over, how do you know what they're getting a ticket for?
Because when I see somebody sitting there with a radar gun, I know exactly what they're getting cited for.
That's just one instance. Every time you see somebody, it's with a radar gun.
Yes.
You never see anyone else getting pulled over.
Almost never. Almost never. Maybe for running a red light. Maybe I've seen that once or twice. And if they did that in this town, you guys would be busy 24 hours a day.
Of course. But maybe the guy who ran the red light said to himself, hey, I think this is safe. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and go for it because I know I'm a good driver.
When did I ever say that?
Hypothetically, of course.
Oh, I see. Hypothetically. No, nobody ever said that. That it's okay to run a red light.
It's okay to speed, though, hypothetically.
Yes.
And to go through a stop sign without making a complete stop.
Yes.
Hypothetically.
Absolutely.
If I decide nobody's coming.
No, not if you decide. If it's I can think of so many intersections right now off the top of my head where you can see very clearly in all directions. I'm thinking like at about 121st Avenue, 121st Street, and 118th Avenue by me. There's a stop sign there, and they got a new deal now there. And no, I did not get a ticket, by the way, so it's not sour grapes. And they're sitting around there to see if people made a full stop at that stop sign. Now you have full vision in all directions to see if anybody is coming or anything is in the road. And I mean to nitpick and make sure that all four wheels came to a complete stop, or I'm going to write you a ticket. That's browbeating the public, and you know it as well as I do.
I'll tell you one thing. Every time there's been an accident, the first thing they always tell me is, I never saw the other car. Okay, so one day you're going to go through that stop sign, and when you get smashed, you're going to say, hey, I looked, but I never saw the other car.
When did I say I'd go through that stop sign?
When the hypothetical...
No, I'm not talking about hypothetical. I'm talking about lots of people who do that.
Yeah, and that's the first thing they always say is, I never saw the other car coming. But they know for sure that it's clear, but they never saw the other car coming.
Uh-huh.
So that's what happens when you just assume that you know better than the law.
Let me say it again. Oh, that you know better than the law. Right. Here's our lecture. Now we're getting a lecture, folks. We know better than the law. So if you got tinted windows and you're smoking a number in the car, you better not know better than the law because this guy's going to pull you over and put you in a hoosegow because you got weed. There you go. Because you know better than the law.
You know, you've never been the same since you got arrested.
Yeah, right.
You've always had that chip on your shoulder.
Sir, I've been talking the same about police. No, first off, if you want to talk about entrapment, sir, that's another subject
for another day. You were never this bad before.
No, never this bad as what?
No, before you used to complain about getting speeding tickets, but ever since you got arrested, you've just been down on the law.
Yeah, right. I've been down on the law all of my adult life, sir, because I'm tired of people getting hassled for bullcrap. That's the end of the conversation. Unbelievable. I've never been the same. Another piece of obfuscation, sir, you don't want to deal with the facts, and that is you're not in the law enforcement business, you're in the harassment business. You're in the goddamn harassment business and always have been. And what the hell does this have to do with that? What does one have to do with the other? But that's always a convenient excuse. There's anybody who doesn't believe in letting the cops do whatever the hell they want to you, they've got some excuse. It can't possibly be a legitimate point of view, you asshole you. Unbelievable. That's right. When you can come to that stop sign, you can see as clearly, you can look and look and look as you go through there, and if you don't come to... See, that's the law, that all four wheels must come to a complete stop, otherwise you're breaking the law. Now that's a good law, isn't it? Well, change the laws. Screw changing the laws, okay? We don't have time to try to change the laws with a bunch of archaic bullcrap going on in this country where the president's up there getting blowjobs every day in the White House. We don't have time to worry about changing that law either. The fact is, go save some lives and do some real serious law enforcement and stop trying to justify. We want to condition the people to go in the speed limit. What a joke that is. And what they've done in this town because of the paranoia, instead of like real cities, major markets like Chicago and Detroit and like in L.A., where when the highways aren't jam-packed, like in the middle of the day, and people are going, 75 and a 55, and everybody, and the cops are going by you like you're standing still, because they create what is called a traffic flow. That's why. There is no flow of traffic here, because you got some people going 90, some people going 30, some guy in his little brown Toyota going 25 in the middle lane or in the left-hand lane. There is no traffic flow, because everybody out here does their own thing. And I don't ever see any of those people being pulled over, by the way, the ones that are going like crawling around, causing other people to make hazardous decisions that cause accidents. It's these old farts and these banana boat people with their unsafe cars that are going 25 miles an hour in the middle of the interstate, forcing other people to take drastic action, getting frustrated. They're the ones who cause the accidents. In fact, most of the time they don't even wind up being in the accident because they're a half a mile behind it by the time it happens. But give me a big lecture and a song and a dance about how dare you think that you're going to, flaunt the law. Right. Flaunt this. We're paying his goddamn salary and he's giving me a lecture on what my attitude ought to be. How do you like that? That's the best part. You're paying his salary. And if he wants to stand there in the middle of the road with his goddamn radar gun and hassle your life and cause a lot of stress too, by the way, which every time you see a pig, oh yeah, we want to condition you. That's right. You want to condition the public, all right, to mistrust you is what you want to do. But blame it on me. Because I'm a bad guy with a chip on my shoulder, right?
Yeah, you're jaundiced.
That's right.
I've never been arrested. What's my excuse?
Well, you're not Chinese. And see, when somebody will call up and with that kind of a militant attitude, who's going out of his way to twist what I'm saying, to try to make me look like some kind of an outlaw, see, because I don't want to be the obedient, dutiful citizen who thinks that everybody should do according to the letter of the law. The goddamn president's up there getting blowjobs from 21-year-old girls, which most of us don't give a crap about. That's his business. But for crying out loud, we're supposed to all worry about the letter of the law? This is probably the same kind of guy who would tell you that if they come to your window tonight and they're looking in the window to make sure you're doing it in the missionary position with your wife or husband or both as the case may be, otherwise they're going to take you off to the goddamn gas chamber. That's the kind of mentality this guy's got.
Hey, who are you to know better than the law?
Exactly. That's right.
Keep it out of there.
Yes, sir. Arafat.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
Because they're a bunch of assholes.
You love the TV show Cops. You salivated over the steamy video Cops, Too Hot for TV.
I just love a man in uniform.
Well, now you'll vest your pants with Cops, the bloopers edition.
You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah, more like silent but deadly there, Chief.
That's right. The funniest foul-ups, screw-ups, and blunders are all captured on this must-have 2-hour home video.
Stop! Or I'll shoot!
Oh, man, I'm out of bullets. All the action, all the adventure, all the precinct corruption that got cut out of the original TV show.
Hey, sir, you sure you want to take a bribe with this TV camera following us around?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's Cops, the bloopers edition. Order today.
Here's Coconut Grove. Hello.
Hey, how about lack of police duty here? I got mugged down here in the Grove a few months ago.
That's hard to believe.
Oh, yeah, right. Bumped into the guy's rear view mirror 2 weeks after I got out of Bascom Palmer for a cataract replacement, right? I didn't have much peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Bumped into the guy's rear view mirror on the outside passenger door. And two guys got out, beat my ass.
Really?
Literally, in front of like 5 or 6 people. I had to go into the store to call 911 myself.
Yeah.
The cops show up, and they don't even want to go after this guy. Oh, you know the guy's name? I don't know the guy's name. I just got mugged. They sat around with their thumbs up their rectum.
Rectum?
And, and just asked me a bunch of questions. This has been, 4 or 5 months now.
No, wait a minute. You said you had to go into 7-Eleven to make the call?
In the food spot.
In the food spot.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were refreshing. They were making new coffee in there while you were working outside.
I think they just brought in a fresh batch of donuts.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, meanwhile, the next day I had surgery to replace the retina on the backside of my eye.
Yeah.
I'm half blind out of it. And I've been to the state attorney's office, then up to the detective department at our illustrious police department downtown. They've done nothing.
Uh-huh.
These guys are jerks.
Well, they're too busy counting up traffic tickets.
Exactly.
Have a great day, pal.
Thanks.
Good luck to you. You'll need it. Just like that Johnny Versace business, baby, of course, on the beach. And, of course, they have changed the law now over there. They changed the way the system in the pawn shops. That ain't going to bring Johnny Versace back when Andrew Cunanan was running around out there in the wide open and signing his name and showing his passport and all the other crap. There's some more good police work for you. They did a beautiful job on that. But then again, he was only a murderer. He was only a serial killer or a spree killer or whatever the hell it is, all depending on which shrink you listen to. He was just running around the country killing people. And so even though somebody's dead, of course he was, both only fags, so that's not all important anyway, I guess. But there you go. I mean, we don't want to catch up on that because we don't have it computerized. Well, they do now. They do now because the focus of the light of the universe was on them, and what an embarrassing bunch of crap that was. It sat around for days and days on somebody's desk until they could review it and take a look at it. And the pawn shop slipped too. Yeah, go scare those old farts and get them off the road for Christ's sakes. Let them turn in their driver's licenses. I don't want to mention that my mother's got friends who are like 125 years old that get 6-year renewals automatically in the mail. People that can't hear, people that can't see, people who are like got emphysema, people that can't get their head up to the bottom of the steering wheel, but they're giving them 6-year renewals in their driver's license. You'll never, ever, ever, ever see those people pulled over off the road. Never going to happen, man. Not in your lifetime or mine. Which those people are the ones who will curtail our lifetimes and wind up killing us out there in the goddamn highway. You better be more obedient, mister. This guy, he was the best. Thank you so much, by the way, sir. Thank you for being the inspiration for my life. And of course, it's only Neil Rogers that makes those comments because Neil Rogers once got arrested for some silly thing that they threw out. But nevertheless, Neil Rogers has got a grudge. Nobody else makes jokes about cops making the coffee and eating donuts. That's something Neil Rogers invented. Right. Just keep trying to, shift the argument. Just keep trying to, obfuscate and cover up your tracks, officer. You're full of crap, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And let me say it again. Go to any civilized country, which, of course, leaves out most of this hemisphere, except maybe Canada. Go to any civilized country and walk around on the streets and see what kind of environment you got. And look at the driving. Go to Toronto and see what a real city is all about. Find out what life is all about as opposed to this goddamn police state, where every time you fart, they're going to drag your ass in then of course the more farters we got and the more pot smokers we got, then of course we can throw those people in jail cells and let the murderers and the arsonists and the axe murderers out because the jails are overcrowded, poor babies, and they're not getting 3 square meals a day. Here's Kendall. Hello.
How are you?
Okay, sir.
I got a story for you, and I think you're going to love this. I'm driving down Sheridan Street. This is a few years back. And they have the police out there in their little, tact force getting ready to ticket everybody.
Yeah.
They got the guns on them. So he pulls me over. He says, "You're going 40 in a school zone." And I said to the guy, "I don't see a school zone sign." And he goes, "Well, I can't help it. If you didn't see it, you're going 40 in a school zone." So I'm thinking, well, maybe I did miss it. So he gives me the ticket. I drive up a block and a half, and there's the school, about 2/3 under construction.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, but someday there's going to be little kids running around there, sir. Look, this goes right back to what the cop said. He wants to condition you into driving slowly because in a few months, maybe 2 years, there's going to be a real school there.
That's right.
So he's just trying to do you a favor and get you conditioned to obeying the law.
Right. So I say to myself, well, obviously I'm going to go to court on this one.
Yeah.
So I get my court date, and it's 6-7 weeks away from that. I go to court, the courtroom's full of people, and you're figuring this is going to take me 2/3 of the day, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell the judge this story. And I'm watching people go up there, and they're telling the judge, and it turns out that almost the whole courtroom were people from that day at that spot. And the judge hears 5 or 6 people, 7 people, and he finally says, "Who else is here for this?" Almost the whole courtroom raises their hand.
They did a hell of a job.
Right.
Apparently, yeah.
So the judge says, "Oh, well," he says, "well, I'm going to charge everybody $32.50 in court costs and dismiss everything." And I hear people going, "Oh, that's great." And they're all getting up ready to go out and pay the clerk. I raise my hand. I say, "Your Honor, you're asking me to pay $32.50 for something I didn't do." And he gets this look on his face like, "How dare you challenge me?"
Yeah.
And he says, "That's exactly what I'm telling you to do." So I say, "I'd like a jury trial." I didn't know, just a shot in the dark. And then a guy way in the back says, "Hey, yeah, me too."
Troublemaker.
And then another guy over and he says, "Yeah, we're going to pay $32.50. We're all here for the same thing." And obviously these police screwed up. The judge slams his gavel down on the desk and says, "Everybody here for this, get out of my courtroom." And so we won it.
All right. Beauty. Nice job, pal.
Hey, take care, bud.
Don't do it again.
All right.
Okay. How do you like that? He was going to give him a discount, man. Like, oh yeah, we only had to pay $32.50, and then leave it up to this guy to have the balls, which most people don't. Let me say it again. Next time you get a ticket, call the ticket defense team, okay? That's what I do. I think I've had maybe 2 tickets in the last 6 or 7 years, both with radar, of course. And yes, I have been pulled over 2 or 3 times for speeding late at night in Plantation, and they always say, "Have a nice day," and don't do it again. So it's not a personal grudge. The Plantation cops have always been very nice to me. But just generally speaking, this whole concept of hassling the public is I mean, maybe if we could afford the luxury of doing it, if it was like a sideline, if we had no other crime, and we figured, well, might as well do something like that other guy said, because they're bored. Maybe then you could understand it. But where you have vandalism on every goddamn street corner, you got punks running loose on the streets, where you got people murdering people on street corners, where you got people being held up in shopping mall parking lots, where you have people shooting each other over parking spaces, and you look around, is there a cop anywhere? Oh no, he's busy on hiatus there with a radar gun. But go ahead, Neil. Have a nice day. And guess what? You can, if there's any cops out there that think that because I do which I've been doing this on the air for years, because I say these things, you're going to write me a ticket, go right ahead. Be my guest. I haven't paid a traffic ticket in this state. Now, I don't think any kind of a ticket in this for years, maybe 15, 20 years. Because I call the ticket defense team. They get it thrown out because more often than not it's bogus. And good luck to you. But if it'll make you feel better, maybe that porker will be sitting out here when I leave again today, wherever the, Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got two quick cop stories. I'm stopped at 6th Avenue South in Lake Worth. About 10 black guys come running up to the car trying to sell me crack, right? So I finally get away
from them. They weren't black guys. They were German Italians.
Yeah, and I finally get away from them, and I get pulled over for obstructing traffic.
Yeah.
And I tell the cop, I say, them guys were standing in front of my car on the side of my car trying to sell me drugs. He says, we're not dealing with crack today, we're dealing with traffic tickets. And then the second story, listen to this.
This was not a crack day, sir. It was a traffic day.
Right.
You better get your days of the week right. It's like today was Kraft Macaroni and Cheese Day. Tomorrow will be crack day.
Right.
And then
the
Sunday will be Donut Day, yes.
The second one, I'm driving on 95 doing 75 miles an hour. I hit a speed trap. I get pulled over. Another Corvette gets pulled over right next to me doing 110 miles an hour. He gets out of the car. He shows his badge. They shake hands. He gets back in his car and drives away. I call the cop. I say to the cop, I says, how do you let him go away driving 110? The cop says to me, you say one more word, I'm going to put your ass in jail.
There you go.
Your effing mouth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's the way it goes out there.
They want to condition you to being a good, obedient genuflector. That's it, pal.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Neil.
Don't do it again.
Bye.
Okay. I guess I better not tell him I was the one on the vet.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
She's an evil bitch.
The problem is all inside, I bet she said to me. But the answer is easy if you practice orally. You must enhance your foreplay cunnilingually. There must be 50 ways to eat your lover. 50 ways to eat your lover. Lie flat on the back, Jack. Go down on a clam, Sam. Use a vibrating toy, Roy. Just listen to me. Lick the alphabet, shit. Don't get your mouth down and food wet. More capital T to satisfy me. I said I treat that act with the utmost disdain. To go south with the mouth, I'm sorry, I refrain. But if you insist, then would you please explain about the 50 ways to eat your lover? 50 ways to eat your lover. Just kiss on the trim, Jim. Fuck her up on a beef seed. Eat a piece of that pie, guy. Now listen to me. Down on the muff duff. Just give it enough touch. More capital T to satisfy me.
We were just discussing the really important segment on 60 Minutes last night before Mayor Suarez made a jackass out of himself, which we're used to. And that's the segment about Vernon Jordan, who be the good friend of the president. And very interestingly, you hear about the bleeps that we have to use on different things because they get real uptight on certain shows on their station because they're a bunch of immature pussies. But at any rate, so last night, Mike Wallace was talking to different people about Vernon Jordan and refused to be interviewed for this piece, so to speak. And at any rate, they were quoting Vernon Jordan when they asked him about what do you and the president talk about when you're out there golfing, when you're riding around on the cart like Casey, what's his name? And Mike Wallace said the word and they bleep. I mean, they put in a bleep. It was like E. Right, there you go. I don't have one of those. Mine's not that long. I have a short one. But at any rate, the word that they were trying to say was see is the word. How do you like that? That's what Vernon Jordan and the president talk about when they get together, because they're both big womanizers. They both screw around a lot. They talk about see is what it is. They said that word 3 different times on there, and the bleep kept getting longer and longer, almost as long as the president's nose. It was incredible. Have you noticed that lately? Now that you've seen he's got that big red one sticking out, and his nose is getting long too. I'm going to get to my thing about the Domino's pizza delivery before. And you know something? This was the most important story of the whole last week. The most important story for us. This was not about the president getting this thing sucked or this was not about dropping bombs on Hussein, who's running around from house to house. And then of course last night we had our big 60 Minutes thing with Mayor Suarez as we get embarrassed one more time from coast to coast and pillar to post. Here's a man who absolutely belongs in a rubber room somewhere in a straitjacket, and he's the mayor of this town, and leave it to Steve Croft and the people on 60 Minutes to finally expose this sham and this garbage. And nobody here cares. Because like the one guy on there said, the average voter in the city of Miami is a 63-year-old Cuban woman with no teeth and no speak any English. And those are the only people who vote in the city of Miami. And that's why we got and he also made the comment, this is a third world banana republic. And haven't I been saying that for years? Oh! Yes, I have. Thank you, sir. Some bearded professor from FIU. That was great. That was a great piece. And Steve Croft says, has it gotten as bad as it possibly can it get any worse? And he said, no. He said, are you sure? He said, no. It'll get worse. I mean, we've only got people that are dead. This is worse than Dick Daley and any other dick you can think of. We got dead people voting. We got zillions of all these bad ballots, and nobody is getting. Carl Hyacin they actually made seem a little humorous last night on 60 Minutes, and that's quite an accomplishment because he's almost as funny as Dave Barry, like that. Big story of the week about the Domino's pizza delivery. Didn't want to deliver in a certain part of town because it was dangerous. And right off the bat, that's an ethnic thing, baby. It's bigotry. And the court ruled that they got to deliver there. Even though we find out in this story, which we saw on the TV on the local news, we have places, pizza delivery people in Miami who won't deliver to certain parts of like Liberty City or Overtown because it's too dangerous. But the court says you got to deliver there. If you deliver someplace else, you got to take your life in your hands. How do you like that?
A lot of times these muggers are the ones calling the pizza guy.
Right.
Like ordering out for money.
Right.
And then waiting for him.
How about those kids that time, was it in New Jersey or somewhere that just killed the pizza delivery guy just for something to do? I mean, don't do that unless the pizza's cold and really bad, for Christ's sakes, kids. So what are we going to do about these pizza people who don't want to deliver in certain areas? I say we give them a medal. The idea that the court is going to tell me if I'm a delivery guy for some pizza joint or any other kind of a joint that I have to go into a neighborhood that's so dangerous that my life is in jeopardy. You know what I would do? I'd tell the judge, you go deliver it. Here you go. Here's a pepperoni with extra cheese. You go deliver it, asshole. And see how fast he puts his stupid ass in jeopardy over there, huh? Even Art Fleming and Alex Trebek wouldn't go in that joint. I think it was Nassau, which is supposed to be near like Riviera Beach or Sing-A-Rong. We'll find out from the audience. I never heard of such a joint. Here's a lady, I know Nassau in the Bahamas. I know how dangerous that is. And believe me, I'm not delivering no pizzas there. Lady in Miami, hello.
Now they're going to have to pay combat pay at Domino's.
Uh-huh.
At the rate it's going.
How do you like that?
I don't at all. I don't like that at all. It's ridiculous.
I think that's another reason to get Mama Mary's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't put anybody in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
I was calling to see if you'd seen that 60 Minutes piece.
Yes, I did.
I can't. I'm listening to Suarez sit there and deny things that are so obvious. Like, oh no, there's nobody in my administration who's up on legal charges.
Oh no, what about this? Nobody. First he says, well, it's not 3 commissioners. 2 of them are in Metro Commission. Only one of ours, and the city manager, and this one, and that one, and all his other cronies that he stuck in there.
And the thing about the money laundering, you make it sound like it's for drugs. Oh, well, it's not for drugs, it's for this other thing. Yeah, but don't make it sound like it's for drugs. That would be awful.
Oh, this is just unbelievable. If they don't get this guy out of there, if they don't recall him or have another election, then there ought to be like massive protest, like 24 hours a day in the city of Miami.
If nothing else, they're just embarrassing us in front of the entire country.
That's right, and of course the whole area has to suffer. I mean, all of us who live here, we know that the city itself is nothing but a stupid banana republic, but the fact that all of South Florida has to, suffer our image, which is bad enough already as a slaughterhouse, because Mayor Suarez is doing bad drugs or something. I mean, to hell with it. And then of course, I love when he says to Steve Croft when they played the tape of his threatening message to the Herald. Remember that?
Right.
When he threatened to pull all the city's ads out of the Herald, and then he says, "Oh well, it wasn't good, but you could tell from the tone I was just joking."
Oh,
right.
I hate to see it I hate to hear him when he's serious.
Yeah.
Oh.
He is serious. He's a serious asshole.
Oh, always was. The other thing I overheard you and George talking about curling.
Mm-hmm.
We did a piece on Sunday morning on CBS about the history of it and how it works. I was watching it. Turns out the whole thing was invented in Scotland by the farmers during the
By a bunch
winter.
of assholes wearing kilts, probably.
When all they had was frozen lakes and granite stones and nothing else to do. So you figure that's where the whole game came from.
You know something? You watch this whole thing, and I started to mention before, not only are the events themselves a farce, very few of these events are really sports in this Winter Olympics, but then for the silly ones like well, what do they even call it? Ice dancing?
It's dancing, yeah.
Ice dancing and figure skating, and they're constantly, especially on the CBC, talking about how the judges are like banding together in groups, the Eastern Europeans and the French, and the whole thing is fixed. It's a joke.
They do play favorites. They always have, especially back when there was the Soviet bloc.
Right.
It was notorious
Well,
that
they're
they all
still doing
voted
it.
together.
The Eastern European judges and the French, and of course, leave it to the French because they're a bunch of traitors anyway. They're scum. So leave it to them. They're the ones that are always, harboring terrorists and selling nuclear weapons to 10th world countries. That's the French for you.
Always.
And nothing to do with that.
So somebody faxed us the article. Thank you so much from the Herald about King and his subjects, and the people of this town have been clamoring for years for that money that Larry owes to them. For years, they wanted it back.
I will not give it to you.
Millions and millions and millions that this man has made and refused to pay people back the thousands that he built them out of.
I will not give it to you.
Larry will make good on his old South Florida debt. He owed, now this, the best part of this story is, which whoever faxed it didn't realize and could never have known unless they're psychic like Schmo Griffin. He owed $5,000 to Seymour Notarius, a retired New York veterinarian. Seymour Notarius, come to find out, this is the guy who used to peddle his rice and lamb butter dog food in my health food store in 1977. Over in whatever that part of town is, in North Dade, in North Miami Beach. Oh, my God. And it comes to find out later in the story who died in July of 81. Well, he was a big, fat guy. And people would come into my health food store, and he'd sit there next to the counter and say, "You got a dog?" That was Seymour. Well, anyway, he used to bellyache all the time that Larry owed him $5,000.
I will not give it to you.
And now the whole thing is they've added up the interest on this thing. As a result, the payoff figure is supposed to be $29,219 because the loan was made in 1978. And we'll repay the principal, says Larry's lawyer, agent, whoever this is, but we're not going to entertain the interest or the public.
I will not give it to you.
And Notarius died, but the daughter is going to get the money. She's an innkeeper in Croton-on-Hudson, New York. Says he died broke. How do you like that? At age 67, this poor bastard died broke, and Larry owed him the money. That might have kept him going for another year or two. I doubt it. Not a lot of money, she says. It's the principal. I remember Daddy feeling tremendously betrayed by Larry King. King will not pay $7,000 to widow Marge Hartnett, who says her late husband, former Coral Gables Mayor Fred Hartnett Sr., loaned him the cash in the 1960s and got stiff.
I will not give it to you.
King simply doesn't remember, says Barondes, who's his lawyer or whatever. But he resents the implication that he's cheap and won't pay his debts, so the King of Talk is offering to donate $10,000 to Miami Children's Hospital in the Hartnett's name. Says Hartnett, "I love Children's Hospital, but you owed the money to us."
I will not give it to you.
So there you go. Nice going, Larry, you cheap prick, you phony baloney ass kisser. All these years have gone by. Even that guy, even that nice veterinarian, he was a good guy. Real fat, though, he's dead. The fat people are the dead people. You know how that goes. Here's a mobile in Miami Shores. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
I wanted to, you were talking about the 60 Minutes, and I watched that last night, and I had some pretty good laughs, like the line where you don't even have to have a pulse to vote in Miami and all the other stuff. But once again, it's like we're embarrassed, like you said, nationwide. It was like that Time magazine cover a few years ago, and now we have this ridiculous crap going on in the city. And then, people expect crime to come under control when our leaders are pulling this kind of hijinks. I mean,
I'm going to tell you something that really pisses me off about that, and that is Carl Hyacin from the Herald, who they made look like a real little comedian there last night, like Dave Berry Jr. He's sitting there making his little wisecracks, and he writes his stupid little columns. The Herald, to me, are just as corrupt as any politician in the city of Miami. They were behind the Metro Rail and putting that over on the public, and then they slapped us in the face and told it was a white elephant, which it is. Then they got behind Mickey Arison and this cockamamie deal for this new arena that is going to be built for their own profit and their own benefit, so that they can goose up the value of One Herald Plaza down there by the waterfront. I mean, the Herald are as corrupt as the day is long. They're full of crap, and he's on there making all these caustic little comments. If the Herald is so goddamn great and so upright, how come they're not doing something about all of this that's going on? How come we don't see like massive rebellion in Dade County while we're waiting for the local media to provide some leadership on it?
That's a good point.
That's a damn good point.
I don't know whether Hyacin...
Everything is a big joke to them.
Well, let me ask you a question. One thing I don't understand, when Suarez was mayor the last time, he seemed like a fairly reasonable guy.
He's lost it, man. He must have got some bad weed or something.
Well,
he has totally lost it. He's flipped out.
You see, to me, either two things. Number one, he's bipolar and he's not on the right amount of medication.
He's bisexual, yeah.
Or whatever. Or number two, he's been doing something.
It was like Joe Gersten. If he wants it, he's got to buy it.
Exactly. I mean, there's just no other reason for it.
Yeah. Well, nobody cares, man. Nobody cares.
Well,
Since I live in Broward, screw them.
That's true, too.
Okay, pal. Stay out of Miami.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Miami Hurricane football. The attack is back. Back in contention for the national championship with a running back attack tandem featuring James Jackson and Najee Davenport. An electrifying deep attack with Heisman Trophy candidate Santana Moss and Reggie Wayne.
Thank you all for your patience, and now get ready for the Finger Bang! Finger Bang! Bang, bang! Finger Bang, bang! Bang, bang, bang! I'm gonna Finger Bang, bang you into my life! Girl, you like the Finger Bang, and it's alright! Cause I'm the king of Finger Bang, let's not fight! I'm gonna Finger Bang, bang you every day! I'm gonna Finger Bang, bang you every day! Yeah!
Men in chains, just the way I like them.
And then this morning I'm coming to work, and I'm over there in Plantation, which, by the way, I'll get to Plantation. I would like to report right now that I believe that there's a chigger in the woodpile that's in Plantation, and the call we had from the cop last week on his show, and now we have this Plantation, this big thing, this STEP campaign starting today, by the way, which I'll get into. The Selective Enforcement, Traffic Enforcement Program, STEP, as in step on this. That call was from some porker over there in Plantation is what it was all about. Because this article in yesterday's paper, which I appreciate somebody bringing to my attention, by the way, this is a carbon copy of that phone call we got last week. They're trying to condition us to doing this and doing that. Meantime, I come back from the track last night and come west on Sunrise Boulevard off the Turnpike, as always. And there are people, I'm going, it's 45 is the speed limit, okay? I'm going 50, 52, whatever, which is a little bit over. People are going by me, as always, 70, 75 miles an hour on Sunrise Boulevard. And I say you people need mental help, including you. You're telling me that you were one of those people going 70 miles an hour on Sunrise last night.
Well, 65, 70. I don't usually do 70 until I get on, Palm.
Mental help these people need, okay?
Hey, there's nobody else on the road.
Yeah, okay.
I don't run any red
lights.
lights.
You're the one that the guy's talking about that wants to make it up as you go along. There's nobody else on the road, so you're going to go 70 on a residential street. That's nice.
Well, that 4Runner just gets away from you.
Yeah, I know. It sure does. See, I'm lucky I only drive a damn Corvette. That can only go 165 miles an hour. You got that big, powerful 4Runner. I mean, I can't compare with that. A lot of rumors about this station, by the way. We'll get into that. So anyway, getting back to this thing. Well, first of all, there's all these rumors. Before I get into the thing about the Plantation porkers, there are massive rumors about this place being sold. This radio station, or maybe, I'm not sure if it's just this station or if it's KISS and Power 96 also, all three of them, the Beasley properties. And what we have to say to that is, oh my God, are we praying? We got our legs crossed, we got our eyes crossed, we got our fingers crossed, we got our nostrils crossed. I'm even wearing a cross. I'm rubbing my rosary beads right now. I'm going to lay some tefillin and whatever else I can get my hands on. Any kind of it, we're going to rub the Buddha on the head. Hey, listen, sooner or later, we'll get the leprechaun and rub his head too a little bit. We'll get some lucky goddamn charms is what we'll do. Anything that might make that come true. Oh God, would that be something? Hallelujah. Set us free, please. Whoever you are out there, the rumored buyers, which I don't want to say too much about it because once these things start leaking out, you can screw it all up. So I don't want to say too much. But the rumors are running rampant. You don't think that's the reason that we're just kind of sitting here like in limbo? Because you know that nobody who's a real broadcaster in their right mind would be running this place this way. So maybe that's what really is in the wind here. Not that I want to get anybody paranoid and psychotic that works for Beasley Reed, being such an upstanding company like they are. Oh, man. Any rate, this ties in so directly, not that I'm paranoid, but it ties in so exactly with that militant, psychotic call that we had on this show last Friday or Thursday. I guess it was Friday. And it was in yesterday's Scum Sentinel, right on the heels of that conversation. Plantation, where I just happen to live and have for many years now, Plantations break, B-R-A-K-E, with tradition. Police departments plan to halt motorists who ignore traffic laws. I want you to listen to this because even if you don't live in Plantation, this should give you an idea of the mentality that we're dealing with here. Motorists who drive through the city of Plantation should be extra careful to obey the law this month. Starting Tuesday, meaning today, the Plantation Police Department will clamp down on drivers who ignore speed limits, run red lights, tailgate, don't wear seat belts, don't signal or otherwise break the rules of the road. Patrol officers in police cruisers and undercover vehicles will be armed with radar and ticket books along all major roadways and school zones in the city. Every driver they see, listen to this, every driver they see breaking the law will get a warning. Many will receive tickets. Starting today, if you violate a traffic law, you're going to be stopped, said Police Captain Keith Hilgenfeldt, who oversees the department's road patrol and motorcycle officers. The month-long sting, dubbed the, no, a sting, it's a sting, they're stinging it. You feel it? They're stinging it. Dubbed the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, STEP, how clever, is aimed at discouraging careless driving and decreasing the city's high accident rates. Plantation logged more than 3,000 motor vehicle accidents in 1997. According to Sergeant Frank Rubino, of these, more than 480 resulted in injuries. We had 15 fatalities in 1996 and 6 last year. That is outrageous, Hilgenfeldt said. How do you like that? He said not only was it unacceptable, it was absolutely
outrageous.
That's what he said. We have a problem and we intend to address that problem. Rubino said far too high a percentage of drivers choose to drive in any manner they desire. Is this all starting to, I want you to listen to the verbiage here. Far too high a percentage of drivers choose to drive in any manner they desire with a belief that there is a low risk for enforcement. In many cases, Hilgenfeldt said, the people who complain the loudest about terrible drivers are the same ones who later get ticketed. Police Chief C.E. Sonny Sherritt Jr. said the point is not to see how many tickets we can write for revenue or statistics, but to educate. The hope is that once people get used to driving safely along the city's major roads, they will maintain their good driving habits on smaller residential streets. After nabbing violators for the next 3 to 4 weeks, police plan to reinstate the program several times a year. End of quote, end of story. If that doesn't sound like a carbon copy of the conversation we had with that militant, obnoxious, disgusting porker on Friday on his show, I mean almost word for word, is what it sounds like to me. And of course, it's only a coincidence because I happen to live in Plantation. And guess what? I'm not wearing no seatbelt. I'm going on the air right here with that now today. I am not wearing a seatbelt. See, that whole seatbelt law is like telling me what kind of toilet paper I have to wipe my ass with. It's none of your business. What I'm doing inside that car, unless it affects the way that I drive, and by the way, wearing a seatbelt, and I've tried it, does affect the way that I drive detrimentally.
Yeah, when you have a big fat gut.
That's right. That's exactly correct. And if they want, I'll get a note from my doctor, and I'm very positive I have several doctors who'll be more than happy to write a note saying, like an excuse from school, because I got a head cold today, that I'm a fat pig, and I have diabetes, and high blood pressure, and this and that, and whatever else, and occasional hemorrhoids, and as a result, I cannot wear that seatbelt. And if you guys don't have anything better to do, in addition to which, the last time I checked, pulling somebody over only for not wearing a seatbelt isn't legal in the state of Florida. You have to be violating some other traffic law before they can pull you over for that, is the way I understand the law. I could be wrong about that. Now maybe we'll start pulling people over for passing on the right, too, like on Sunrise. Now, I applaud, I'm all for pulling over dangerous drivers. People who are running red lights, people who are running stop signs, not maybe like not making a complete stop, but people who are running stop signs, people speeding in school zones. I'm coming this morning to work out here on Honey Hill Road, and I'm slowing down. Now, granted, those lights haven't worked since we had the big storm a couple of weeks ago, but any jackass can see where those people with the straps, the orange straps on, standing on the corners, helping the little kids across the street, those traffic, whatever they call them. That means there's school in session, and the sign says very clearly, school zone 8 to 9 a.m. And I'm coming here 25 to 9 or 20 to 9 this morning, and I'm slowing down to my 15 miles an hour, and there's this big, Schwarzer in a big truck behind me, and this guy's like practically pushing me because he's so pissed off because I'm going 15 miles an hour right on the dot. Well, it's a school zone, you asshole. And there's people speeding through there. I didn't see nobody getting any tickets, of course. People going 70 miles an hour on Sunrise, like I said, 80 miles an hour on Sunrise and Broward Boulevard. People running those lights that I've been talking about forever. And, of course, this business, they're going to be equipped with radar and ticket books. Well, that sounds like more of the same to me. And if you have, why don't you get the speed limits like on hiatus, they're up to where they belong, like 45 instead of 35, and then none of us would have, who are at all responsible, would have any problem with that. But it's very obvious to me that some of those speed limits are set artificially low so that they can do what they've been doing for years. Maybe that's why they have so many fatalities and so many accidents, is they haven't been doing a good job of getting the really dangerous drivers off the road, and they're sitting there with too many goddamn speed traps. What a concept in Plantation, huh? What a concept. And sitting around by my house a couple of blocks away, off the under Melaleuca trees, waiting to see if all four wheels on your car came to a full stop when it came to that stop sign. And maybe some of those trees got trimmed back, by the way, so you could see absolutely clear in every direction there. Maybe that might be a little help, too. Instead of having big branches of trees hanging out in the middle of the street so you couldn't see somebody coming if your life depended on it at certain intersections. But this sounds like a militant. It sounds exactly like this porker that called here, and it was on a Broward line, by the way, and I'd be willing to bet a lot of money if I could get my bet in, which I doubt, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that it was the same porker and that this whole thing is an offshoot of this show. Wouldn't surprise the hell out of me. We're going to show you, you faggot. We're going to show you a thing or two, and we'll hang out there right in it. And by the way, if you also want to help save some lives, how about, it's really nice the city of Plantation finally got that light up there at 118th Avenue and Sunrise Boulevard. But you know something? It's been up there for weeks, and all it does is flash and flash. It flashes yellow, and it flashes red. That's all it does. It doesn't change anything. It's no different than it was before, because there are stop signs on the north end of 118th and Summer and the south end on both sides of that intersection. So if you would put that light into motion, get it working, and make it a regular stoplight with like a real red light, would certainly help to control traffic and also stop people trying to pull out of there and make a left turn and getting killed. But I understand we're pushing a little bit too hard. You want to make us obedient. It's not a case of writing business. We want to make you obedient, like the guy said. We want to condition you to doing things right. Right. Like you're going to condition dangerous drivers and drunken drivers into doing things right. Okay, let's try Miramar. Hello.
Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can
oh, my God.
That radio yesterday was bad. I thought it was my radio. Thank God it's only your signal.
Yeah.
It sounded like the radio.
What do you mean, thank God it's only my signal? Isn't that great?
Anyway, about the porker situation. I hope first on the list are these cops when they're off duty and in their private cars that drive around.
No, they're not. Sir, what are you wasting your time with that? They're not going to be first on the list. They're not going to be on the list.
They should be on the list.
But they're not going to be on the list. You know that.
And their family members, that just because they have one of those little badges on their tag means that they can drive any way they want.
Well, that's all part of that whole thing, that whole fraternal order of police business and all that stuff you put on the bumper. I mean, if people really don't get stopped because they're wearing that stuff, that's one of the biggest hoaxes in the history of mankind.
That asshole that called you last week is probably at the top of the list of the guys that drive around and weave in between traffic. And
well, how do you know that?
Well, because they're all like that, these cops. That's the way they drive,
well,
man.
That's a
they
good
think
point.
they're above the law. They can enforce the law, but they don't have to abide by it.
Okay, have a great day, pal. Here's Miami. Hello.
Yeah, hi. According to the law, it turned on January 1st that anyone that does not have seatbelt on could be pulled over without doing something else. It just started this year.
Well, isn't that great news?
Yeah, because when I had to go to traffic school back on January 7th, and I brought that point up, and the guy said, not anymore, January 1st. If you're caught without a seatbelt, they can stop you.
If you're caught without a seatbelt?
Yep, just that one little petty thing.
Oh,
I got
my
nothing
God.
better to do.
I better go out and buy some Charmin today, because I don't think I got the right kind of toilet paper in my house either.
There you go.
Thanks for the good news,
Hey,
pal.
and in closing?
Yes.
Can I, shameless request?
Yeah.
The Japanese are called and...
Chinese. Don't get the Japs in this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Chinese.
The Chinese?
Don't get put a chink in the armor there, will you?
All right.
Okay, I'll work on it, pal.
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
I was riding on a train to Austin, Texas. Oh, when a very lovely lady sat next to me. When she got up to eat, she asked if I would hold her sight. I was more than happy to, and now there's more I'd like to do. I want to kiss her, but she won't let me. I want to whisper sweet nothing in her ear. I want to hold her behind closed doors and more. I want to kiss her, but she won't let me. When she returned, she said she was an actress. She showed me an album of pictures of her opening, which she'd been sitting on. She seemed as sweet as she could be, but I could clearly see she was the kind of girl whose soul and heart been wrecked on. I want to kiss her, but she won't let me. I want to whisper nothing's in her rear. I wanna hold her behind closed doors and more. I wanna kiss her, but she won't let me. Well, I'll never forget that train ride down to Austin. We shared a sleep and we shared our tales. But as my heart tries to leave her behind, regrets are all I find. 'Cause I hoped I'd get that girl in the end. I wanna kiss her, but she won't let me. I wanna whisper sweet nothings in her ear. I wanna hold her behind closed doors and more. I wanna kiss her, but I wanna kiss her, but I wanna kiss her, but she won't let me.
You know, there was once a time, not all that long ago, a few years ago, we couldn't play that on the air. That was one of our censored pieces of material. What does that tell you? And that leads right in. It segues right into this fax, which is a new one. We had the story yesterday in Texas about the T-shirt. Another habitual T-shirt violator, this one in Ocala. Jury selection began Monday in the trial of a 24-year-old Florida man. A trial. They're having a trial over this, okay? Charged with obscenity over a T-shirt featuring a bare-breasted nun and calling Jesus a profane name. How do you like that? A bare-breasted nun, probably...
Sister Mary Catherine, Jesus!
That sums it all up, I guess. Record store clerk Andrew Love was wearing this is a record store clerk wearing a new T-shirt promoting the British death metal band Cradle of Filth in November when security officers at an Ocala shopping mall told him to turn the garment inside out or leave. Before he was able to reverse the shirt, Ocala police showed up, arrested him, and confiscated the shirt. The shirt shows a bare-breasted woman in a nun's habit reaching between her legs. On the back are the words, Jesus is using the crude term for female genitalia, the C word. I know it's offensive, Love said, since when it is against the law to be offensive. Love contended the shirt was not obscene, but prosecutor Steve Rogers, no relation, thank God, disagreed. Love was never jailed on the misdemeanor charge, was released on his own recognizance. If convicted, he could be fined $1,000 and sentenced to a year in jail, along with all those other habitual, like pot smokers, probably. Florida law defines obscenity as something the average person believes would appeal to a prurient, shameful, or morbid interest. Something is obscene if it depicts or describes sexual material in a patently offensive, oh, here we go with this again, and lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Which means that none of those postcards that they sell in Amsterdam on street corners out in the public would they be able to sell here, of course. Like the ones that show the Pope sitting on the throne taking a dump. In this community, meaning Ocala, the T-shirt is definitely political, said Love's attorney, Jim Reich. He said the case had sparked an outcry from fans of Cradle of Filth, civil libertarians, and those of the anarchistic bent. Reich argued Love's arrest amounted to unlawful prior restraint because police officers determined on their own that the T-shirt was obscene. Marion County Judge Sandra Edwards Stevens rejected that argument, and opening statements were expected to start in the case today. Another habitual T-shirt violator. So don't give me no song and a dance about American First Amendment rights, because we don't have any. That's what it boils down to. We have the word police. We have the bumper sticker police. We have the word police. Now we got the goddamn T-shirt police. Remember in Hollywood not too many years ago, and Mayor Galante had the T-shirt police arresting young people in a Hollywood beach. First of all, why would young people want to be in Hollywood Beach anyway with all the old frogs? But number two, they were wearing T-shirts that said disgusting things, which were like, by the way, paled into insignificance compared to that one. So there you go with some more good police work in America, as you hear the boots stomping all over the place, baby. So those rumors must be right. They must be planning on unloading this joint.
Where'd you hear that?
Oh, it's all over the place. I heard a rumor on the radio just a little while ago that QAM is being sold. That's what I hear. Oh my God! Listen. There is no way that I could convey to this audience how desperately we, George and I, and many others, but I'll speak for ourselves, how we pray that that's true. Pray is an understatement. Like I said, I'll turn to religion. I'll become born again. I'll put on my white shirt and a tie and ride a bicycle. I'll do anything, okay? That's right. I'll even put on that magic underwear. I don't give a crap. Anything at this point, just to try to bring that to fruition and make it a reality. Because these people here, man, they are clueless. It's not like they're a little bit off. They're way off in La La Land. They're so far removed from anything that has to do with radio broadcasting that it's like we're talking about a Chinese freaking laundry. And they could even screw that up. And I forgot that Chinese restaurant. But if he hangs on, I'll get around to it. Just hang with me, pal. One of these days I'll play it. Here's Tamarack. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm responding to the article that you just read about the T-shirt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was working in Plantation 7 years ago, near the corner that you talk about a lot, Valley Boulevard and University. Right near the food spot where all the cops hang out.
Right.
And the guy I was working for, Why Will the Sporting Goods, we had a lot of risque T-shirts. And we got the word that there had been a complaint.
Oh, my God.
Huh?
Yeah.
And we got a complaint from one of the cops that said a woman had called and they were going to come down and they were going to, confiscate the shirts and so forth.
Yeah, because they probably wanted to give them away as gifts to their girlfriends.
But anyway,
my God.
I told the boss, I said, just leave the shirts out there and let the chips fall where they may, and whether they arrest
Let
me or
the
whatever.
shirts fall where they may, right.
Exactly, but he folded and he took the T-shirts down and caved in because he didn't want any problems. I was willing to let it go all the way.
Yeah, what a bunch of shirt.
But you see that I figured the First Amendment would protect me, but I guess.
Oh yeah, right. You're in a
a
dream world, man. You're in La La Land. There's no First Amendment. It's an arbitrary thing. The cops make it up as they go along. We find that's offensive. That's obscene. Okay.
You're exactly right, and these were just, they weren't even that risque, compared to what you're talking about. But it was this attitude that you just mentioned, and interestingly enough, you live in Plantation, the cops there were very good because they at least tipped us off, and they told us what was going to happen, and they've been very friendly to us. So those are the ones you talk about that always have the coffee at that place.
Right. Oh, they sure do. Well, they make a good cup of coffee, I'll tell you that.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, congratulations, sir.
I'm glad, and I'm just responding.
And I'm glad you cleaned up your act.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. We got the dirty language T-shirt police going now, baby. You have to be kidding me. What the hell are you doing in Amsterdam?
Neil?
Yes.
I love this apartment. We have it. You're welcome to use it. We are 1 block from the marijuana hash museum, which means we're a half a block from the red light district.
Well, keep your damn windows closed, for Christ's sakes. All you need to do is get the munchies. That'll be the end of you.
It's true.
You don't need any assistance.
Neil, I want you to use this place. I love it. I love Amsterdam. It took 6 days to get a phone.
Yeah.
But it is wonderful. The food's great. The bakery is superb.
No fish food in Amsterdam.
No. I just want to send you love and kisses, and that we're here. We'll be back in New York Wednesday and Florida Saturday, and I want you to use the apartment. It would be a joy to share this.
Oh, I definitely will.
You got it.
And how's the weather there now?
It's not too bad. It's 56 degrees. They're surprised. They said it's a very warm winter.
Yeah.
But it's such a civilized town.
Yeah.
I mean, we are.
By the way, you very like me. Rarely do you make a mistake. But I watched, one of the tapes you sent me with the excerpts from Midnight Blue, and the one where you were talking about Amsterdam and what a great country it is.
Yes.
Amsterdam is a city, not a country. I don't want to get confused. The Netherlands, Holland, it's got two names. But last time I checked, Amsterdam was only a city. But only that we had a country, the whole country would be like that.
I know, but with a joint in my mouth, I didn't care.
Yeah, that's true.
How are you feeling?
In most of that movie, you had to see your mouth on something else, but I don't want to get into it.
We don't want to talk about that.
No, we don't.
I'll be back in town next week. I hope to see you.
In fact, that's when I had a relapse. I was feeling pretty good, and then I put that video in just to see what it was all about. And watching you apply that tongue, and sir, watching Al Goldstein having any kind of a sexual experience is such a gross out, man. You lose your appetite for months.
Well, speaking of gross out, he's never heard his bits.
Wait a minute. You never heard, just a second.
That's a gay club, you moron.
You see, you're talking. Will you listen?
That's a gay club, you moron. You're looking for glory holes.
No, the guide to dumping.
I know.
Mr. Al Goldstein presents The Art of Taking a Dump.
Oh, what I like to do is place a TV tray in front of me when I go. Gives me a way of expediting the food I enjoy. I had my cornflakes today. Corn is good. It goes right through. It also helps to have a few pictures of Gloria Leonard around. But what I truly enjoy is the luxury of bathroom acoustics. I always keep a karaoke machine nearby. This way I can enjoy the acoustics when I sing. farting and pooping and splatting and splooping, spewing and spraying and straining my heart. Don't care if it's real or a thought. So when you have to make, don't hold it in. When I gotta do plantation and pooping, festooning my boobies, yeah, and if I feel good when I'm through, that's
You're listening to the best of Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.